Welcome to Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse, a podcast exploring cult classics, subculture, and geek media. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dave.
And we will be your tour guides for this deep dive of the long-awaited third installment in Zack Snyder's superhero epic, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, it was so egotistical he had to put his name in the title.
Well, it's because I don't know why they titled it. I think it's because of the branding of the Snyder Cut. His name had to be there because that's from the hashtag.
And they call it the Snyderverse and all of that.
All the Snyder bronies. He's playing to his audience there.
Sure.
This movie took a weird path to get to us.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, after the Batman vs. Superman lengthy movie, I was really not looking forward to a 4-hour crap fest of a movie.
Yeah, my expectations were very low. But am I crazy? Because I liked this.
It was all right.
Yeah, I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
I liked it a lot more than I liked Batman vs. Superman, but I did not like it as much as Man of Steel.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I would say that this is the first Zack Snyder movie since 300 that I just liked without thinking about it.
Huh.
Because usually I have to stew on his movies and ponder, did I enjoy that?
Yeah, we'll get into the nuances, but I think that this movie had moments that were really awesome, and then it had a whole bunch of forgettable moments. Yeah,
well, I think it's very nearly an assembly cut, which when you wrap filming a movie, generally the director puts together an assembly cut, which is where they take all the footage they shot and they put it in order, and then you start editing from there.
Sure.
And this movie's clearly not edited down much at all. It's basically everything they shot, all the things that would be deleted scenes on the DVD are included.
Yeah, I mean, since this is new, fresh, hot content, there's a lot of articles and stuff in the Nerdverse about it.
Oh, for sure.
And I saw one that said something like, there's almost half an hour worth of slow motion in this movie. If you count the seconds of any slow motion anything in the whole movie, it's nearly half an hour, and I guess part of that is because of the Flash. They show speed by making it slow.
Yeah,
but
that's also
still,
just a hallmark of all of his films, going
all
the way back at least to 300. But I don't remember. Maybe even Dawn of the Dead, he did that.
Or every time you see anyone who can fly descending, it has to be from an underneath view. Yeah. It has to be really slow, and they have to be backlit.
Yeah, I was just thinking of the "This is Sparta," and he boots that guy into the pit, and that's all like that too. It's that super slow mo.
Yeah, there was a minute in there where I was like, is it Superman? No, it's just Martian Manhunter. It's just the same exact take.
Yeah, the way the way he descends.
Yeah, exactly. And whatever. Okay, so we don't want to dig too deep into this yet.
Okay. But what have you been up to since last time we recorded?
So I haven't been up to a ton of extremely notable things, but I do want to call out one brag that a nerd achievement has occurred.
Sweet.
I know that the divers out there know that I play World of Warcraft Classic.
You may have mentioned it once or twice.
I think every episode. But in fact, it is Phase 6 of World of Warcraft Classic, which is the final phase. It's the end of the game. My guild, me and my wife, Carrie, we finished the game. We have won. We beat the final boss of the final raid in the final phase of the game. So
who is the final boss of that?
It is Kel'Thuzad, who is the master. He's a lich who's in charge of Naxxramas, the floating fortress.
Oh, okay.
And so it's really tough. It's not an easy thing. In original vanilla WoW, only a tiny percentage of players ever finished this raid, partially because of the difficulty, but partially because it was only out for a few months before Burning Crusade came out. And then when Burning Crusade came out, it went away. You couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, so there was a time limit on this. You had to get to it.
Yeah, so this was a thing where I when I started off Classic WoW, I said, I'm going to kill every raid boss during the phase that they come out, because it's easy to go and kill phase 1 or 2 raids now in phase 6 because all the gear is so much better, right? So all that stuff is like farm content. So I wanted to do everything while it was new progression content, and we succeeded. We did it. I did it on my rogue, and Carrie did it on her druid, and so I'm pretty proud of that, because we're a semi-casual guild. We're not like sweaty hardcore dweebs who went and practiced on the test realm and all this stuff. We just did it our way, and we got it down.
Well done. Congratulations. If we were a podcast with sound effects, you could insert applause here.
Yeah. I would rather just do like a womp womp, because it's like we beat a 16-year-old game, like yay. But yeah, it was hard, and it was fun, and I enjoyed it. So we continue to farm it each week now. We farmed it. We've done it 3 weeks in a row now. So we'll keep farming it to get all that uber amazing gear that we can go into Burning Crusade with.
Very cool. Very
dark
cool.
portal. So what have you been up to?
I don't think nothing of note. I've got no content for this segment, but I think just briefly, the same weekend that Justice League dropped onto HBO Max, Falcon and Winter Soldier came out.
I watched that.
And you watched that, so I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay, let's give it.
What did you think? What did you think of that? Because you haven't watched the second episode yet, have you? That just came out today?
No, because I just got off work, and I was watching. Every Friday. I already covered this in a previous episode, but the anime Jujutsu Kaisen. It's Jujutsu Kaisen comes out on Friday, so Carrie and I watch it right when I get off work.
Okay, so you've watched that.
We've watched Jujutsu
have not watched
Kaisen.
Falcon.
Yeah, we have not watched Falcon and Winter Soldier. I liked it. I would say. I really did not like the twist at the end. I just thought that was like...
Yeah, we probably shouldn't. It's new, so we shouldn't probably spoil what that twist is. It's
totally new. It's a twist at the end, and I was just like, this was going so well. Like, I really like Falcon. I think he's super rad. He's really endearing as like a regular dude. I've always liked Winter Soldier since his movie came out. And I think Bucky is awesome. And it was just it's interesting having them in the like the post Thanos world. Yeah,
you find like I guess Tony Stark didn't really like think about how to keep paying people after he died.
Yeah, like
it's like the
these Avengers are broke ass bitches, and that sucks for them. And like, yeah, how can you not get credit if you're an Avenger?
Yeah, but I thought that was, that's fairly realistic. Especially like, you're a veteran. There are benefits for veterans, but a lot of people come back from war in a hole, essentially.
That's true, but think about it. Falcon starts a Kickstarter for Save My Family's Ship, and it would immediately go like millions of dollars.
That's probably true. That would be a real like bummer of a show, but very timely.
It's like how something like 70% of all GoFundMe's are for medical bills. Yeah.
Okay. Whew, USA.
Yeah, we're the best. I watched that David Cross video you posted about how America's
failing at everything.
Yeah, not to say that I'm not a patriot. I'm just not a nationalist. There's a big difference.
Well, yeah. I think people get sold the idea like they have to believe that we're the best at everything, or somehow their patriotism is failing, and it allows people to willingly let the wool get pulled over their eyes.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's the United States is the best at some things, but not everything. we definitely have some things that we can learn from other people on.
And we excel at mass shootings.
We are. I would say we are the best, bar none, at doing violence.
Yeah.
Nobody does violence like we do.
Yeah, on a really like big scale.
Yeah, I mean, gold medal, like death bringers. That's America. So don't cross us.
Yeah, I guess that's the don't tread on me.
Yeah,
Metallica
exactly.
song.
Don't step on Snake.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's before we get too deep into that.
Next, let's tackle unions. All right, so what are we drinking today? Podcast fuel.
Okay, so today's podcast fuel is a hazy IPA, or a New England IPA, it's how they call it, from Little Beast Brewing in Portland, Oregon, called Tiger Team.
Okay.
It's 6.5 ABV. IBUs are not listed. And they have a Tiger Team of hops, they say, fresh pressed paradise. Yeah, I'm not going to list all the hops. You guys don't care about that.
Because there's like 5 or 6 types.
Yeah, it's got a whole gang of hops from New Zealand in there. It's a little fruity.
It's actually the thing that actually hit me a little weird, because I'm a hazy IPA guy. Like when I see one that's new at my local breweries, I always order it because I just want to try it. The thing about this one is that when I took my first drink of it, it almost tasted sweet like a double or a triple IPA.
Yeah.
It's got that note that you would expect if you were drinking a triple.
Yeah.
And that really was strange to me. Also, for as many like fruity type hops or whatever, and how they're trying to have tropical citrus overtones, it's not really that citrusy.
Yeah.
I've had way more orangey beers.
Yeah, for sure. It actually, as it's been open and it's kind of mellowed out a little bit, it's drier than I expected it to be. But it was also more carbonated than I expected to be, because it jizzed all over our table.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a good beer, don't get me wrong, and I've never drank any Little Beast Brewing brews. This is the first one.
Yeah.
I will say whoever their graphic designer or package team is, or whoever does that, did a really great job, because the first thing that struck me was their logo.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then the label on this beer is really, really awesome. It's got these little tigers kind of drawn almost in a Japanese style, with these leaves and fronds and stuff, and it just looks really cool.
Yeah, it's almost like a retro wallpaper pattern.
Yeah, like you could see this as a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
But with tigers and leaves and stuff, it would look really cool.
It would. And I always love that Little Beast logo. It's kind of like a lion's face made out of a hop, and he's got
a chalice in
a chalice in his maw.
And it's a round black circle with gold writing and logo, so it's kind of a like a old school looking logo. Like this looks really, really vintage. So I appreciate when someone cares about the aesthetics of their brand. So this is good branding right here, and the beer's pretty good.
Yeah, and
I want to try more of their beers.
They're a brewery. I associate them more with kind of old world, like Belgian farmhousey styles. But they're not a one-trick pony brewery by any stretch of the imagination.
All right. Well, that's a good beer. So I'm definitely going to finish this one, and so let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll get into this. We've got this monolithic movie. It's 4 hours, so we're going to be here for the next 8 hours. And the thing is that it's 6 parts. But the motherfucker puts an epilogue in.
Oh, and a prologue. So it's 8 parts.
What a dick.
You mean auteur.
What a visionary. All right, so let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back and deep dive this.
Welcome back, divers. This is going to be, it's a long movie, so let's get into it.
Yeah, so this movie came out basically forever ago, and I hear Zack Snyder had some issues, and then Josh Whedon had to take over. So what is the story behind this thing?
It's complicated. So as I keep saying at the beginning of this episode, or at the beginning of our last now classic episode, Space God meets Orphan Guy. Zack had a 5-part plan here, essentially, that got sort of aborted, is what I said last time.
Okay.
Essentially, after the commercial success of Man of Steel, and also across the street, the success that Marvel Studios was having, Warner Brothers kind of came to Zack to build a cinematic universe for them, and he laid out plans for a very ambitious, almost sort of Arthurian legend, Lord of the Rings-esque in scope plan for the DC universe.
Yeah.
And then the next installment of that was BVS, which was, roundly hated.
I don't even understand why he would do that. Like, I understand you need to have a Batman movie in order to bring Batman into it, and I understand they wanted to tie Wonder Woman in.
Yeah.
But that movie was just dumb, and it highlighted the fact that Batman can just never compete on the scale of Superman or Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
he's just
physically.
like the dude who waits on the side and takes pot shots at goons.
Right. So anyways, not to belabor that point too much, because we talked about it already.
We get into that more in this movie too.
Yeah.
Batman being weak sauce.
Or just a mortal man. There's another way to look at that. A pretty impressive mortal man.
That's true.
But essentially, after the critic panning of BVS, Warner Brothers lost faith in Zack and started trying to tighten the leash on him. And then they went into filming this movie essentially immediately after, like 1 month after BVS came out. And then when it had wrapped filming, Zack had a family tragedy, and essentially he didn't have the fight in him to keep fighting for his vision of the movie. Mm-hmm. And they had already brought in Joss Whedon, Avengers impresario, to punch up the script and do reshoots and everything. And
I think you meant to say Buffy the Vampire Slayer hack.
That's what I felt inside, but what he was hired essentially because they're like, make this into the Avengers.
Yeah, make this something people like.
Yeah.
Turns out he failed.
Oh, he completely failed. He, at the time that the theatrical cut of Justice League that we now call the Justice League, at the time it came out, I said it's a bad movie that's easy to like.
Okay.
It's bright and shiny, and it's got lots of quips and recycled jokes from the Avengers, and it just didn't work. And but it did what it needed to do, which is like sell toys and fill a gap and do something Avengers-esque.
Yeah.
But pretty much immediately after that came out, people started talking about the Snyder Cut, because there had been test screenings and people had seen earlier versions of the movie. And then when the theatrical cut came out and it did not match what the advanced screening people had seen, a massive fan campaign started that has gone on for years. And that's, long story short, that's culminated in how we've got this movie.
All right. I mean, so I will send a thank you out to those sweaty neckbeards and say that this was like 1,000 times better than the Justice League.
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch the whole thing because I couldn't get through it.
Really?
Yeah, and I will tell you, like, my notes through this, I wouldn't have finished this if it wasn't for the fact that we're doing a podcast on it.
Oh wow! Of this version?
This version, yeah.
Oh wow! Okay,
but so you
and I are very far apart on this.
Not to I don't know what the term would be, but not to try to obfuscate my actual final rating of it. Mm-hmm. I think that Prelude through Part 3, blech.
Really?
But
okay.
Part 4, 5, and 6, fuck yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It was good. Like,
so once Superman comes back, you're back on board.
And I like the Flash the whole time.
I see. Dave and I, we were more closed-lipped than we normally are.
Normally we chat about these movies.
And so I have been just sort of all week long trying to kind of guess Dave's opinions and everything. And I was really like, I don't know what he's going to think about The Flash, if he's going to think he's annoying or...
Yeah, he's a guy from the Harry Potter movie. And no, but I thought he was a bit of a ham, like in the initial opening scenes with him and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But as you get more into it, he's like Spider-Man who's fanboying over Iron Man.
Yeah, oh, totally.
It's the same trope, but Spider-Man was likable and Flash is likable. Okay. And that's just because the actors are really good. And I think he got to have his hero moment, and I really liked that. So it was cool.
Well, and again, in the end, as we've said on the last podcast, all the casting choices that Zack Snyder makes, except for, maybe Lex.
He's in this thing too.
He knows how to put the right person in the right role, and he sees things that other people wouldn't see. Like I said before, like Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I think that's inspired casting.
Yeah, that's an amazing casting because Jason Momoa kills it in this movie.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's enough of that. Let's actually get into this movie.
All right.
We start out the prologue. We see the death of Superman again. And see how his death cry reverberates, and it starts. We go all over the world and see these three mysterious cubes seem to wake up. There's one in Themyscira where the Amazons live.
He activated the Infinity Cubes.
Yeah. So yeah. It's something like that. There's Jack Kirby created the Cosmic Cube from Marvel, and he created the mother boxes over at DC. The guy had a thing for cubes. I don't know what it was.
These are just token MacGuffins. If you don't know what a MacGuffin is, it's just a standard literary trope or movie trope where it's just the magical thing. Think in what's that one? Avatar. The
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium is the MacGuffin. There's always just the thing. It's not actually important what it is. It's just the thing.
The Ring of Power. Yeah. The sword and the stone.
It's not actually a huge part of the movie. It's just the object of desire so that people can develop character and plot.
The Holy Grail.
Yeah.
This is like, it's Joseph Campbell metamyth stuff.
Yeah, and I really wish that it hadn't been so similar to Thanos collecting the stones of power, Steppenwolf collecting the cubes.
I think this would have beat out Thanos, though. Like if these movies had come out kind of on time. And we should say also, spoiler alert, Darkseid shows up.
And he looks like Thanos.
Darkseid was debuted 3 years before Thanos. So
okay.
It's one of the. It's like John Carter. When people say John Carter ripped off Star Wars, it's we saw the Marvel movies first, but these stories are technically older, the DC ones.
Okay, all right. Well, I can buy that then.
So, but anyways, there's a cube in Themyscira with the Amazons. There's one in Atlantis, and then there's one in Cyborg's coat closet.
Yeah, and so one thing that kind of struck me with this whole intro is. There's no dialogue. It's just epic soundtrack music, and I will say it was good.
I've listened to that Junkie XL score a ton this last week, and I'm really into it.
Yeah, it's really good. I really liked the score, and you get you see all these different characters. It's kind of flashing around the world. It's looking, it's really a cinematic thing, and it's going for that Snyder desire to be epic in all things. He just wants to start the movie epic and just keep it rolling.
Yeah. Which is exactly the opposite of how the Justice cut starts with the Superman cell phone video thing that Joss does.
Yeah.
With his CG weird mouth.
No,
so I prefer this opening. Although I must admit like watching the sound waves kind of travel out, I was kind of like, what are we doing? This is it it was an odd foot to start on, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that. And then it's kind of weird. It kind of goes and it gets to like Batman is trying to track down Aquaman.
Yeah, like I said, we cut to Bruce Wayne in the land of the ice and snow where the midnight sun and the hot springs flow.
Yeah, I mean, straight up. And it's like he encounters and so then you have Affleck and Momoa in, civilian clothes.
Well, so we see Batman up on like a ridge in Iceland or whatever. Yeah. And then our first break, part 1.
Is it Iceland? I thought it was like Siberia or something.
No, it's ice.
No, Finland maybe? Oh, okay.
It's ice. And so part 1, don't count on it, Batman.
Yeah.
So anyways, as you were saying, Bruce Wayne, he's come the hard way to an iced-in fishing village so he could arrive there with the King Tide to talk to the mysterious Aquaman, Arthur Curry.
And he goes into the village and whatnot, and he's talking to Jason Momoa, who he doesn't know is Aquaman.
Yeah, he knows.
And he knows. And you just see these two guys not in their super suits or whatever, facing down, and it is very clear that Jason Momoa is way more badass than Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I mean, and Ben Affleck's a big dude.
Yeah.
And Momoa's got like half a head on him and that big caveman brow.
And it's just wider shoulders and narrower waist. And he just kind of looks like a, like an alpha wolf talking to a little dog.
Yeah. Well, he's 10 years younger. He doesn't have to try so hard to be in that shape. But yeah, so he's there to give his pitch. I'm looking for warriors to Aquaman. And Aquaman's not having it. He says the strongest man is strongest alone. Ever hear that?
No, I never actually heard that.
Yeah, Batman was like, that's not how that phrase
goes.
No,
it's the lone wolf dies.
Yeah, so Bruce Wayne strikes out. From there, we go to Martha Kent. She's living out the grains of wrath and having her farm repossessed.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it just struck me that people let Superman's mom lose her farm. Like, how could that even happen?
I think, we get to, at the end, Bruce says, just called it a mistake. But I think people just weren't thinking about it.
Sure.
She's not on the, you just assume she's paying her bills. You don't, unless she reaches out to people. But anyways... she's losing the farm to foreclosure. Pretty sad, packing everything up into a U-Haul. Cut back to Iceland. Alfred's not a fan of Iceland, and he has some real doubts about Master Bruce's people skills.
Yeah, he should not be the one doing the recruiting.
Yeah, Batman's not known for his personability.
Yeah, I don't know when in this. I should say part 1 is really scattered and it's just sort of catching us up on all the characters. It's not linear very much, and I wouldn't say it's tough to follow. It's just that there's no logical chronological order really. Mm-hmm. At some point we get to see Steppenwolf, and he is so CGI'd, and I know there is an actor who's playing that guy. Yeah.
And it's a pretty significant actor because of Zack's his real admiration for the movie Excalibur. Okay. Because it's Ciarán Hinds that plays Steppenwolf, who was he was Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he was in Excalibur, so there's a reason why he was selected to be the invisible motion actor behind this character.
You know who I would have chosen for this role? I would have chosen the dude that played the Kurgan in the first Highlander movie.
Clancy Brown?
Yeah. That would have been a fucking hella Steppenwolf.
He would, I mean, it's a little typecast. He kind of steps in and plays that character in a lot of movies.
That's because he's the GOAT.
He is. Yeah. I mean, he gets a lot of work being that guy. But yeah, so what do you think about Steppenwolf? Because that's a big change. Joss made him into more of just a dude. And he's more of a monster in this version.
Yeah, the thing is he's a monster, but he has a goal. He has a stated purpose. Mm-hmm. He has a mission. He's a loyal dude. Yeah. He's extremely, I would say, noble. in his purposes, even though I don't agree with his purposes. It's just one of those deals where I think that Snyder was able to make him more relatable and make him into more of a character rather than a caricature.
Yes, and that's something I thought was very interesting, is that this monstrous version of Steppenwolf is more human than the human-looking version of Steppenwolf from the other version of the movie. Like, it's more relatable. He has more emotion on his CG face than the other version did. The other one seems like half-assed video game villain, and this one is more thought out. Even his crazy, like, bioorganic
like
armor.
the living armor, yeah.
Like, I didn't like it in the trailers, but through the course of the movie, like, how it
kind of bristles with his mood and his words and stuff.
Yeah, I actually thought it was really cool armor.
Yeah, like I thought he was cool. He made a good villain. I liked his big ass axe. It looked cool. And then when he went in and he attacks the Amazons.
Yes,
he goes after their magic box.
Yeah, because their mother box woke up first for whatever reason. It was the first one to wake up, and so he boom tubes in right into.
Is that what that's called? A boom tube?
A boom tube, yeah. So
that's dumb.
Around this time, as I'm taking my notes and I'm writing Mother Box and Boom Tube and Parademons, and I'm writing all this like comic book jargon, I thought, oh no, a normal person wouldn't understand any of this.
No.
These are all just like words in my lexicon. I was like, but I'm right. I probably wrote Boom Tube a dozen times in these notes.
Yeah, I never wrote it. I wrote teleport usually if I was referring to it.
Well, new gods use Boom Tube technology to teleport.
Oh, new gods? Is there a difference between new gods and old gods?
Oh, I guess we can pause for a second and talk about what Steppenwolf is. So Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I don't know what he is.
Steppenwolf is one of the new gods.
Okay.
So essentially, after Ragnarok, when the old gods died, the Norse gods, not the Olympian gods, because they smartly lived. They kept their house on Earth.
Well, I think it's I think like we get a thing with Hercules and stuff later, and I figured it's just because Marvel uses Norse gods, DC can use Greek gods, right?
For the most part, in the DC universe, the Norse gods are dead.
Okay.
Because Ragnarok happened, and then the new gods were born after Ragnarok, and essentially the realm. I forget what it's called, like. Urgrud is essentially the DC Asgard. Asgard was split into two different worlds. One called New Genesis, where the sort of benevolent gods live, and then one called Apocalypse, where the evil gods that are led by Darkseid live.
Okay.
And Steppenwolf is one of those gods, one of the dark gods from Apocalypse. I'm
not going to go with my gut and call this stupid. I'm just going to say it seems really old. It doesn't seem very modern storytelling.
No, a lot of the names seem really on the nose.
Yeah.
And certainly like Steppenwolf and Desaad, these names are all kind of borrowed from literature and history and stuff. But yeah, so anyways, that's the mythology. So
well, one thing I wanted to point out is when he is attacking the 300, we're not going to go through this beat for beat because this entire scene where he's attacking the Amazons in their pyramid and whatnot, and Diana's mom is there and all that. Anyway, there's a lot to say, but I just wanted to say the overall feel of it felt like not 300. But the sequel to 300.
Oh no,
that's what it felt like, and I owe that observation to my wife Carrie because I said this feels like the action is super try hard, and she goes like the sequel to 300, and I thought about it and I was like, yes, it's super duper fake. It doesn't seem realistic at all. Oh man, and it was just bad plus bad. I did not enjoy that entire scene.
Oh, you hurt my feelings.
Like, I thought Diana's mom, I don't know her name, was the best.
Hippolyta.
Okay. She was the best character in it. The actress did a great job. And I thought that Steppenwolf was cool. Everything else.
Oh, man. I love all that stuff. I never saw the second 300 because, and shouts to Connie Nielsen, who plays Queen Hippolyta.
Okay, yeah, she's good.
I never saw the second 300 because Zack wrote it but didn't direct the second one. He only did.
Yeah,
the
it was
first
worse than the first one.
Okay.
First one was good though. I mean, if you like that kind of, it's just sort of like hyper masculine, erotica.
I mean, I do have to cringe now every time I see that Molin Abe sticker on some jacked up pickup truck.
That's not even like. I have some thoughts about that, but that's not for this podcast.
Okay. So yeah, you're hurting my heart, but so you did not love the scene with the Amazons playing Keep Away from Steppenwolf.
Nah, it was lame.
I'm super into that stuff. That really works for me. I miss the Amazons whenever they're not around.
And the thing is when the building is falling into the sea and all of that, I wrote here, I said, was I supposed to have feelings about that? There's literally no investment at this point. So lingering on that slow motion crumbling into the sea is literally a waste of my time. Oh, and then the cube chase on horseback and stuff, I was just like, can we end this? I'm fucking tired of it. This is dumb.
Oh, so harsh. Oh,
it was just okay. The cube chase was 100% worthless. Why? No one cares about these characters. I don't care if Amazon C or Amazon D dies because I have no investment. They have no story. They're just NPCs. They're red shirts. They're pointless people. We don't care to linger on their dying breath. Just let it go.
I think of them, they remind me of like the elves from Rivendell when they show up in Lord of the Rings.
Sure, but you really only care about the leader.
Yeah, okay.
Nobody cares about those
Agree to
Amazons.
Disagree. This is the best part of the whole movie.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not serious.
Okay.
But I liked the scene a lot.
Because Batman on a Gatling gun is pretty dope.
Okay, let's stay focused. We brushed over Lois in mourning. She has like a sad montage where she gives coffee to a cop and leaves a coffee at the site of the Superman monument. And we have a badass Wonder Woman scene because Wonder Woman she's put back on the suit and she's superheroing part-time again. And she rescues a bunch of like schoolgirls from Roose Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And just fucking pulps these guys. And I love that scene.
So I think that scene was also pointless because it wasn't tied to anything. It was essentially a long form establishing shot.
It's just showing us since the last movie, what people are doing in the wake of Superman dying.
Yeah, and I guess that's why it's 4 hours, because they give us too much of this. Like an irrelevant, non-plot related superhero scene that's just not part of anything. It's not tied to anything.
Yeah.
And I think that is, I mean, it's pointless. They should have come up with a way to make her action, the establishing shot for her, in some way relevant to the magical box plot.
Huh. Okay. Well, so that's part one down.
And so I give a verdict after every
part.
Every part. My verdict is simply 2 words. No thanks.
Okay, not feeling part one.
I would have stopped the movie at that point had I not needed to take notes.
You're a harsh judge. Part 2, The Age of Heroes.
Okay.
So Steppenwolf, he got the box from the Amazons and he boom tubes into not Chernobyl, but a fictional Chernobyl-esque Russian city. And then he sends out the parademons to go hunt for the other 2 more.
Who, let's
boxes.
just call them what they are. Goth fairies.
Okay.
They have fairy wings. They're hella goth.
Well, okay. So they have bug wings. Yeah.
So do fairies.
Yeah. They're goth. Yeah. I mean, I can't fault your logic. Bruce is up in his murdered out private jet, all black interior, because it's Bruce Wayne.
Pretty fucking cool.
And he's going through Lex's list of metahumans, and so next up is Barry Allen, the Flash.
I just kept thinking, like, Bruce is like, he's trying to Google, where are potential friends?
Oh yeah, so you watched Suicide Squad too, didn't you?
I did.
In preparation
yeah,
for this.
I watched that.
So you saw this, and you saw the postscript. He got a dossier from Amanda Waller about metahumans and stuff. So, and that's what he tells her. He's looking for friends.
Yeah, and it's just like, I watched that movie. But if we could do an episode on Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad 2 or whatever.
The Suicide Squad.
It's just Suicide Squad 2.
No. It's a requel. It's a reboot sequel. Anyway, okay, let's not tangent on Suicide Squad. We've got a 4-hour movie to get through here. Cut to Silas Stone in Star Labs.
And I was trying to figure out, like, what the fuck is Star Labs? But I guess they study the alien ships. Like, that's their thing.
In DC Comics, Star Labs is the super science organization, essentially.
Okay.
Like, they study whatever the thing is. They study alien stuff. They study cybernetic stuff. They study everything.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out what's this all about, and while I was watching this, and then I figured it out. I was like, oh, it's about Cyborg. Okay, gotcha. The least interesting, whatever these Justice Leaguers are called. I call them Little Leaguers.
Oh, man. You're brutal to the Justice League. So Silas Stone, he's calling it a day at 11:30 at night. So we get the impression he's a hardworking man. Doesn't go home early.
He does not have a union contract.
No. And right as soon as he leaves, one of those parademons busts in and starts wrecking the joint.
Yeah, he's looking for the cube, and obviously they had intel that the cube was there.
They smelled it.
Yeah. Turns out it wasn't there.
It's not there anymore. We know that cube is in the closet at Cyborg's house.
Yeah.
Cut back to the Amazons. They have a whole ceremony where they fire the arrow of Artemis.
Yeah, they're like, we need to get information to Diana. How are we ever gonna do it? And they set an arrow on fire and shoot it across worlds or whatever, and it lands at this temple. And I'm like, this is the literal dumbest thing ever. Like, come on! I already don't think much of the Amazons, but this is dumb.
Oh man! You know what I thought was? Well, that's how far out into the Mediterranean Sea there are. It is just so improbable that so few people have accidentally landed on that island, because that's a busy sea.
Oh, yeah.
The Mediterranean Sea is just alive with fishing boats and shipping and everything. And it's like, and I mean, granted, they're magical, super women.
If it's like Wakanda, they can mask it.
Well, they can mask it, but, like Steve Trevor just accidentally crashed his plane there, so it's not like it's got it doesn't have a force field around it. It just has like a protective fog. So it seems like every other day you'd have some Greek fisherman just sort of like show up and be like, where am I?
Yeah,
they must just kill those guys.
Like, I'm just gonna pretend that it exists in like a parallel dimension or something. I don't know.
Giuseppe just never came home from fishing.
Yeah. I really just thought this was the lamest thing. Like, they shoot it to a historical place in Greece, like, and then when Diana goes there. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like no one's there, and there's no security, and there's those places are tourist attractions, all of them.
Well, it was like police taped off, and then she slipped in. That was
sure.
But yeah, for a crime scene or whatever it was being treated like, no one was really guarding the place. Fair enough. But she goes into the Shrine of the Amazons, and we get some cool Grecian wall paintings that explain Darkseid and parademons. And everything.
To me, when I was looking at those as a non-comic reader, non-DC guy, I was like, okay, so I see 3 magic boxes, and I see Evil Grandpa. And like, got it. So we've got Evil Grandpa. He wants his 3 magic boxes.
Yeah, and it said Darkseid in Greek up there. I thought that was pretty cool.
And so, I mean, at this point in the movie, I checked my watch and I thought to myself, where's Superman?
Always the Henry Cavill stand. You're true. You're true to yourself. So we got Silas Stone gets home from work to tell his son Victor that we can't just keep this box in the closet. There's things are looking for it.
Yeah.
And we cut over to Aquaman. He's rescuing a fisherman on a boat. The boat's called the Cortland, which is a Ayn Rand reference that I don't understand, but Zack Snyder loves those Ayn Rand books.
Does he? Is he one of those douches?
He's an objectivist. Anyways, the boat's sinking, and Aquaman saves him and dumps him off in a bar and tell him to respect the storm next time. Whiskey, it's on him. And he struts out of the bar. Nick Cave is playing. And for the second time in the first hour of this movie, Jason Momoa peels his shirt off sensuously and swaggers into the ocean.
Yeah, so far I'm liking Aquaman the best out of the Justice League guys at this point in the movie. Just because he's just pretty much no nonsense, and he's not as brooding as Batfleck.
Oh, he's brooding like hell though.
I know, but I don't know. I just like him better. And I mean, Cyborg just emos out like hardcore. Like,
yeah. And so for younger people that know Cyborg from the Teen Titans cartoon show, this probably seems very weird. But if you read like Teen Titans comics in the 80s, this is very much Cyborg. Like, I'm a monster. Why did my father do this to me? Like, that's very much 1980s Cyborg's MO. Like, spot on.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. To me, it's just not working. And then you get to Jason Momoa. Aquaman goes down into the sea, and
he's brooding.
And they find an actor. It was amazing. Willem Dafoe showed up, and I was like, I didn't think this movie had actors.
It's already had Jeremy Irons in it.
Okay, that's true. Jeremy Irons and Willem Dafoe. This movie has 2 actors.
Ben Affleck has 2 Oscars. They're not for acting, but he still has 2 Oscars.
Jeremy Irons, I'll give you, but at this point, Willem Dafoe shows up, and I was just like, holy shit! There's going to be a dramatic performance.
Yeah. Let's say this right now. You say Christopher Lee is your favorite actor. Yeah. Willem Dafoe is my favorite actor.
Oh, okay. So
I passionately love Willem Dafoe.
I mean, Boondock Saints is just amazing.
There was a firefight.
Yes, that's my favorite Willem Dafoe scene.
Oh, he's so good. Okay, yes. I love Willem Dafoe. I love the character Volko. Volko's sort of Aquaman's Alfred, to shorthand it, and he's completely cut from the Justice League cut. So they cut
one of the biggest name actors in the film
because the scene isn't important, honestly. Like, he comes in, he throws down a suit of armor and a trident, and he lays a guilt trip on Arthur about how you're the rightful king of Atlantis, and it's time for you to quit fucking around rescuing fishermen and stuff, and take up your job as king of Atlantis.
He's like, I'm only half Atlantean.
Yeah. I like dicking around.
I like whiskey and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
I swim in jeans and
we're making fun of him, but I actually like Jason Momoa in this. I haven't watched Aquaman yet, but I'm going to because it happens chronologically after this movie.
Yes, and I'll mention it when we get to Mira. Some of the things that don't quite line up between the 2 movies, but it's not important.
All right.
But anyways, Willem Dafoe kind of lays a guilt trip on Aquaman, but Aquaman's not having it. He walks off on Willem Dafoe just like he walked off on Batman.
Yeah.
And then what else we got? Oh, Desaad does a phone call. Steppenwolf calls Desaad on a weird New Gods FaceTime meeting mission.
Yeah. I mean, if we can FaceTime, they can, whatever.
Yeah. But it's like a melted metal FaceTime. It's pretty epic. They're doing it in a.
So who is Desaad again?
Desaad. Desaad is like.
Is he Darkseid's Alfred?
Everyone needs an Alfred. He's Darkseid's like the name implies, his torture man.
Okay.
Like the Marquis de Sade. Sure. Obviously,
yeah.
if you.
I got that.
I know you know it, but perhaps there's. Our divers are literate people, and they know
they took high school English.
Yeah, so they know Desaad. Oh, I bet he's into freaky stuff.
Sure,
like it's just a given. So yeah, so Desaad is Darkseid's his guy that puts the screws to people.
Okay.
And he calls Desaad to say, like, so far, invasion's going really good. Can I ever come home? And it's like, no, you have to conquer 10,000 worlds before you come home.
And Steppenwolf's like, oh, shucks.
But I've done 7,000 worlds. Yeah. So, yeah, we got that.
It's kind of cheesy. And at some point in here, because I kind of lost track, there's like a storytelling scene.
Yes, that's the next thing. Diana goes to Bruce and she gives him the exposition dump on the Age of Heroes and the first time Darkseid attempted to invade Earth.
And I want to say at this point, Diana seems like the smartest, most put together member of any of the superheroes.
Yes. Well, she's the oldest.
She is the oldest, but she seems the smartest and the most level-headed, and best judgment. But I mean, when she's telling the story and you're like, okay, this is interesting. And then when they say like there are no lanterns and no Kryptonians, and I was like, oh man, I really wish there was a good Green Lantern movie, and I wish there was a Kryptonian there because we miss Superman.
But we get a Green Lantern here in the Age of Heroes exposition.
Yeah,
because we see Darkseid come and invade, and we get you see his big Omega symbol carved into the earth, and you see the armies of men.
I was wondering what that symbol was called. I guess it has a name.
Yeah, well, and we get a little further in.
That's like the equation of death or something, right?
The anti-life equation. You were very close.
Oh, okay, my bad.
And we see the Olympian gods are there, Zeus and Artemis and jacked up Professor Lupin from Harry Potter. And the Atlanteans, the Amazons, and one Green Lantern showed up. He didn't bring the whole corps, but he's doing his best. And they turn back the armies of Apocalypse. And Professor Lupin does the deciding blow. He drops his battle axe down there into Darkseid's shoulder and sends him back.
Yeah, and ultimately, I mean, I feel like this whole story to establish the, Darkseid's desire for the anti-life equation and all of that, it was another MacGuffin when they already had the 3 boxes and whatnot. It almost was just sort of like extra. And I mean, they made this scene with all this crazy stuff, but it seemed like this was very cuttable, this story.
Okay.
It just wasn't needed. It wasn't that interesting.
Interesting. You're not into the epic Greek gods, Zeus throwing lightning bolts and Professor Lupin as Ares.
You know who's number one? Hercules
this is Hercules.
In my heart is the old 1980s WWF Hercules who swung the chain around. There was better than that Hercules.
Hercules wasn't even there.
I'm sure he was. No, he was. Or was that Zeus?
Zeus is the one throwing the lightning bolts.
Okay. Well, either way, I was checked out because once again, and I'm going to reference this probably 1,000 more times, we don't care about these characters because they haven't built a narrative. They haven't built a story. Nobody has bought in on these characters. We don't have any sort of, we don't have a reason to care yet.
You know what I'm getting is I think you had your phone out when you watched Wonder Woman.
Probably.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of this is depending on you having watched Wonder Woman. All the stuff with the Amazons and the Greek gods, it's very much set up in that movie.
Okay. Well, I mean, I do phone bad movies.
So, Wonder Woman, that's the best DC movie.
Is it? Man of Steel.
They're close.
Anyway, so that's the end of part 2.
That's the end of part 2.
My verdict was still not interesting.
Oof. Okay. But maybe if you didn't have your phone out.
This one, I didn't have my phone out for this entire movie. I have my laptop on my lap, jotting down notes. Things like, meh, where's Superman?
Okay. Part 3. Beloved mother, beloved son. Cut to Central City and Barry Allen. So we see Barry Allen. He's arriving late to an interview at a doggy daycare. Interview is interrupted outside by a car accident. and we get some epic slow motion Flash stuff as Barry goes out to rescue the girl he was flirting with that was in the car accident.
To catch a hot dog.
And he manages to catch a hot dog. And I read this article about how this scene is so creepy and about the, like, because of him touching her hair, like there's like consent issues and all of this stuff. And I want to be sensitive to all of that, honestly. Anyone, like, if you're a comic book nerd, Iris West becomes his wife. Like, that's the love of his life. And she's Iris West Allen for most of history. And this is the first time they meet, and it's romantic. It's not creepy.
Okay.
That's my take on it.
I didn't get a creepo vibe from this. And also, I watched this with Carrie. She didn't say it was creepy.
Yeah, he didn't grope her or do something gross. He just, in his weird, awkward moment, like, looked at her pretty face and then saved her life.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is something that was cut from the theatrical cut.
Huh.
And I understand why, because like a lot of stuff you talked about, it doesn't advance the story at all. But it's important still.
The thing is I harp on not being invested in characters, and you need to be invested in characters in order to care. Mm-hmm. So if you don't introduce Flash in his own movie, you have to give him a scene.
And show what he's like.
And show that he has humanity. Mm-hmm. And so I would have rather have them had a Flash movie before this Justice League came out, but they didn't. So they had to build him, just like Cyborg. They had to build him in this movie.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay, so we like this scene.
Yeah, this is a good scene. I like the Flash,
and I love the effects, like how when he pokes through the glass, finger, and it bends before it breaks, because glass has that sort of liquid quality.
Yeah, it reminds me of like if you're diving into the water and you have to break the surface tension.
Yeah, totally.
Know? It's pretty cool.
So I thought this was a really cool scene, and it really sets up sort of a kind of a character, a fundamental character trait of Barry Allen, I think, is that even though he's the fastest man alive, he's always late to everything. And so like it just sets that up perfectly.
He's a little bit douchey and he's a little bit silly, and he's definitely like kind of a flawed guy.
He's an awkward kid.
And I mean this scene did a good job with it, and I couldn't help but say it, like when during the slow motion thing when he's rescuing her and the car had hit the hot dog cart, and I was just like, just wieners everywhere. Just a screen full of wieners.
I do, and I love that how he sees the hot dog and he's like, "Oh, neat hot dogs," and slips one into his pocket. And then when he runs back to the job interview, he's feeding dogs hot dogs in there, and like, getting his dog walker job.
Yeah, I thought that was, it was fairly endearing, and it was an amusing scene, and I think it kind of, when I guess if you're watching a Zack Snyder movie, you can't have everything be like
dour,
just a harsh, like bleak scene. You can't have everything be all Aquaman.
Yeah,
you have to have occasional levity, whereas Joss Whedon tried to make it like levity all the time.
Yeah, everyone's quipping.
Yeah, this was like, okay, so this is the Flash's thing. He says funny things. He's a young guy. He doesn't take things seriously, so he is the token comic relief.
Yeah, and so if we're paying attention, looks like the movie's pulling you back in now.
Yeah, I think in part 3, it introduced a character I liked. There was a bunch more stuff I didn't like, but this is where it starts getting a little better. Yeah,
so from here we get Steppenwolf is he's drowning Atlanteans in the open air. Some Atlanteans can't breathe air. Some of them can, like the noble classes can, but some of them can't. So parademons are just hauling Atlanteans on the beach, and they're dying out there. It's all pretty brutal.
Yeah, I thought it was amusing. I mean, like,
you still like suck it, fish man.
Yeah, get some. And I mean, like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah, and Steppenwolf puts again, if you're deep in DC lore, he puts a Starro onto one of the Atlanteans' head,
Starro?
Yeah, they're these alien starfish that do mind control.
Oh yeah. It was like an alien's mind sucker thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he puts it on the Atlantean's head and extracts the information about where the mother box is held.
Yeah, and I thought, that didn't strike me as weird. Of course, Steppenwolf has some stuff to do stuff like that.
Yeah. And then we cut Lois still being sad. She's like looking at sad pictures and Superman's cape and stuff. She's having a bad time. Cut to Bruce and Diana. They're having like a chemistry moment while they're going through the files and talking about the different metahumans. They reach for the mouse at the same time and have a little sparky thing.
You think that's a thing?
It's canonical. They've got a little bit of a flirtatious thing with each other.
Okay.
And I think they're playing with that.
I mean, we get the story of Cyborg in this
Yes,
part.
That's next.
And I put down in my notes here, like, I bet this guy never gets his own movie.
Well, it was on the agenda, but he's made it his mission to get justice for all the people that at Warner Brothers that did him wrong, and he might have set his sights a little too high.
The actor?
Yeah, the actor Ray Fisher, because he went after Joss Whedon, and that campaign has ended up being quite successful because a lot of people have come out and said, yeah, Joss Whedon is abusive.
Was he one of the guys that said that Joss Whedon treated him badly or something?
Yes, pretty much the first person I heard say that.
Okay.
And then since then, everyone's come out of the woodwork to talk about Joss Whedon being abusive.
Yeah, I saw a thing on my Google News feed where it basically said that Joss Whedon is now untouchable in Hollywood.
Yeah.
No one will work with him.
So, I mean, with all respect to Ray Fisher, because I think he's great in this movie, I probably would have stopped there. But he wants the Whedon enablers to go down too.
Okay.
And he might have just...
he got a taste of victory and he got a little greedy.
Yeah, so he might have just basically tanked his career out by going after the head of Warner Brothers.
Oof.
But anyways, yes, the Cyborg movie's probably not happening.
I wouldn't have wanted to watch that. The character's just ultimately not that interesting. He's a poor man's Iron Man.
Harsh.
He
So
is,
harsh.
though. Am I wrong? Like, Iron Man is cooler.
He's not anything like Iron Man other than
Yeah,
that
he is. He's the flying, shooting metal guy who does all the tech stuff.
Yeah, his powers are like Iron Man.
Yeah.
But the character's nothing like Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr. is a better actor.
Robert Downey Jr. is like in his 50s. This is the first movie this guy was in. This is literally the first movie Ray Fisher's ever been.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
then he should not have set his sights so high. He didn't have any capital.
Yeah. But anyways, we find out all about Cyborg. He's a super smart kid, super good at football, a little bit of a white hat hacker. There's some one of his friends, he hacked into the system and changed their grades because they had a family tragedy and failed some classes. And his dad, who we've
What
met,
a swell feller.
His dad, who we met earlier, Silas Stone, he's too busy at Star Labs
He's
to
an
show up.
absentee father.
He doesn't show up for the foosball games.
If that's the biggest problem you had in your childhood, well, glad you had a good life.
It's not building sympathy for you for this physical specimen and academic marvel.
He's an academic marvel who's captain of the football team, who's extremely wealthy and very good looking. Yeah. I have no sympathy for this guy. He had one thing that bothered him as a young man. His dad didn't come to his game. Couldn't you just celebrate the fact that your mother did?
Yeah, but he wished his daddy was there.
Oh.
And then, while he's feeling emo about that, they get hit by a car. Mom dies, like it's a Disney movie, and Cyborg...
Or like it's a DC movie. Is her name Martha?
Her name is not Martha. I don't know what it is right off the top of my head, but I promise it's not Martha.
You don't have to look it up because it's probably Martha.
It's not Martha.
Everyone's mom is Martha. That's the DC canon. If your mom is dead and you're a superhero, her name was Martha.
Yeah. Her name is Mrs. Stone. That's what we're going to call her. But anyways, Silas does finally show up for his son, who's now more or less a disembodied torso.
Yeah,
He's
basically a corpse.
Yeah, and he promises to not let him die. To which end, we saw in the last movie, he used the mother box to build a cyborg body for his son.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really fault the guy.
Yeah, he's desperate. Silas shows up. He knows Victor doesn't want to talk to him, and he leaves him a tape recorder message that inspires him to do a learning how to use my powers montage.
And he smashes the tape recorder. He crushes it in his hand.
Yeah, before it gets to the mushy stuff. He only listens to the science part, and then once his dad says, "Now I want to talk to you as a father," and he goes, "Nope, you're not my father."
It's like, oh, you're so edgy, bro.
Yeah, he's very emo cyborg, but he's a teen.
Sure. And I mean, at this point, and so you go back to the Flash.
Yep, he's visiting his dad in prison.
And I was finding it really hard to like his father in any way. His dad was a dick.
Because his dad's
like making fun of his jobs and his stuff, you know?
His dad is doing the push the kid away thing. So his dad, Henry Allen, he's in jail. He was convicted of murdering his wife. And he didn't do it. Barry doesn't believe that he did it. And that's sort of his mission in life is to prove his dad's innocence. Yeah, so that's what's going on there.
I can't remember who says it about who, but somebody says they're trying to like talk about the credentials of someone, and they say he plays the viola. And like, I just got to thinking, my wife plays the viola, and the fact that no one on set knew that it's called a fucking viola. And none of the editors and nobody knew that it's called a viola.
And not a viola.
It just made me wonder, like, why do these movies cost millions of dollars? Why don't they just hire me and you to look through it for stupid shit? Like,
I would have
makes
missed
no
that
sense.
Like, a lot of people would miss that.
Oh, man.
It's a pretty obscure thing. Like
if you know about an orchestra, it's definitely, if you know about stringed instruments.
Yeah.
Anyway, that just stuck out.
That stuck out to you.
That it was like it was just a mark of low quality. And my note here is, this episode is the backstories of nobodies.
Okay, so after Barry gets done visiting his dad, Henry Allen, who you didn't bond with, that's good. He got recast anyway.
Okay. That's good.
But anyways, he goes back to this like warehouse space that he's living in, and Bruce Wayne's waiting for him there.
And you know, the best part of that whole scene was that fucking car. The Mercedes that Bruce Wayne drives, it's actually a concept car, a one-off. There's never been produced. And it was actually inspired from a Mercedes that was in the Gran Turismo video game.
Interesting.
And so they actually made one for the movie. And it's fucking amazing.
And it's, because it's such a rare car, it's literally the only thing Bruce Wayne owns that isn't black. Yeah. Which I think is funny, because it's like, it's silver, and it's like, yeah, because that one doesn't come in black. Like, he would have asked.
Yeah, there's just one.
And they're like, no, it's a one-of-a-kind concept car. It's like, I can't paint it black because it's one of a kind.
Yeah, he could have had Alfred paint it black for him.
Yeah, but then it would ruin it.
Yeah, that's true.
So you didn't like the scene with Bruce and Barry? Because I love this scene.
It was okay. I mean, he throws the Batarang thing, or the shuriken, and he's like, oh shit, he's the Batman. He goes, and he's basically like, yeah, you want to? I'm in.
Yeah. Barry's the opposite of Arthur. Barry is a joiner. He's like, yes, sir, I want to be part of your super friends.
No, I thought it was amusing. I mean, I thought that was pretty, like that was on brand for the Flash.
And we get the one of the good Bruce Wayne jokes where Barry asks him what his superpowers are, and he goes, I'm rich.
Yeah.
That is Batman's superpower.
Yeah, pretty much.
Meanwhile, back at the Batcave, Diana's hanging out with Alfred, and Alfred's being very picky about how tea is brewed, and it's a charming little scene. And Cyborg sends Diana a cryptic email to meet up. And he comes to meet up, basically to tell her to fuck off.
He like flies down onto the street and he's like, I'm low rent Iron Man. He goes, I'm not joining your shit team.
Kind of like he goes, and I love it. He's got the mother box with him.
Yeah,
like he flies up holding the mother box, kind of like in a saddlebag on his back. Ed is like, "Why are you looking for me? Stop it! Fuck the world." I mean, he literally says "fuck the world." Was that our first F-bomb in this R-rated movie or the second one?
I don't know, but I would have loved it if Diana just roped his ass and hogtied him and just punched the stupid out of him and took the mother box. Yeah, I would have loved that. I would have been like, all right, respect your elders, bitch.
That's not... Diana's superpower is the power of empathy, Dave. And so that's not how she operates. She tries to make a connection with him, and it works. It's just a slow one.
Oh, okay.
She shows him that she feels his pain and lets him process on his own. He goes off to his mother's grave to go bury the mother box like a weird dog.
Yeah. What's with burying shit? Because that's what the humans did with their mother box.
We brushed over that, but I do want to mention, because I think it's pretty funny, the Atlanteans like put it inside of a kraken, and the kraken like made a case for it, and then they built a citadel around it.
Yeah, they built a fortress.
Yeah. And left guards there for all time. For all history, there's guards.
Yeah, like
people.
Worst duty ever.
Why are we guarding this box? No one's ever going to come and take it. The Amazons did the same thing. They built a pyramid around it.
The Atlanteans. Right?
No, the Amazons and the Atlanteans.
Yeah.
Both of them. What did the Kingdom of Men did? They buried it on the way home and left it there.
Yeah, they're like, no one will find it here. This is just a fucking random place. Who would dig right here?
Yeah, and they never say it, but I read that that's supposed to be King Arthur. Like, so that's Arthur, King of the Britons, and his Knights of the Round Table. They buried it on the way home. They didn't even get to Britain with it. They buried it in Italy. We find out, and we're like, 3 feet's probably deep enough, right?
Yeah. Percival's like, I'm tired of digging, guys.
Shut up and dig.
Yeah, I thought that it was funny how humans how mankind just buries shit.
Yeah, mankind dropped the ball, and Cyborg, he's maybe 3/4 machine, but the quarter that's man thought burying it 3 feet and under the ground is a good call.
That's the way to go. Definitely
that's
on their mom's grave.
So what's up next?
At this point, Steppenwolf goes to Atlantis.
Yeah, we're brushing over some stuff. But yes, that's the next significant thing.
Why doesn't he sink?
Oh, with all that armor on?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's space armor.
Because he would just be like laying on the bottom of the ocean. Well, shit.
I guess I should have worn my trunks.
He just like gets up and starts walking along the bottom while all the Atlanteans are just like dropping bombs on him and stuff.
Yeah, but he doesn't sink because it's space armor and because he's a god. And he's wrecking house on the Atlanteans, and he's fighting. We see Amber Heard as Mira for the first time. Mm-hmm. And she does a badass waterbending move on him where she starts sucking the blood out of his face. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I didn't have any empathy for this character because they hadn't established her in any way.
Yeah, this is literally the first time we meet her.
She's just random water lady.
Yeah. And Steppenwolf smacks her down, and he's going to drop the axe on her, and Arthur shows up and halfway saves the day. He saves the girl, but he doesn't save the box, essentially.
Sure. He made the wrong call.
Again, if you know your lore, that's his future wife. So some would say he made the right call.
Well, some would say that the universe is more important.
Love is the most important.
It's the anti-life equation, dude.
So yeah, and Mira drops a whole load of exposition on Arthur.
Yeah.
And it doesn't quite match up with the Aquaman movie because she says that she's an orphan there, and she has a dad in Aquaman, and he's played by Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah.
So I was like, that does, and she has a British accent, which she doesn't have in the Aquaman movie either. So that's another weird thing.
Yeah, I didn't like how at the end of the scene they just boom shoot out or whatever it's called.
Boom tube.
Boom shoot. I keep wanting to call it poop shoot. It's just like, there you go, Darkseid. I mean,
it's a tube, and it literally makes the sound boom every time one opens.
It's a device that was done. It might as well just be a blue phone booth. I mean,
you know, the Bill and Ted phone booths do sort of move through boom tubes. Like if you think about it, the circuits of time are basically boom tubes.
Wow, I guess it's all one universe. Could you imagine Bill and Ted showing up in Justice League? That would be pretty.
It's not that hard to imagine, actually. Yeah. Before we wrap that, Bruce gets Barry back to Gotham and introduces him to Diana, and Barry kind of geeks out about the bat signal being up in the air. Anything else important happen? We meet Ryan Choi back at Star Labs. He's a significant DC Comics character, but he's not that significant in this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a moment when, Steppenwolf goes back and he's got 2 out of 3 boxes, and he calls back so he can talk to Darth Thanos Seed,
Desaad,
whatever, and they make a giant ball sack bubble. It looks like a scrote. That's what that thing looked like. It was insane. I was like, you seriously made a giant scrote as your fortress?
That's not what my notes say, but now that you say it, I can't unsee it. So that's, yes. He puts a glowing red scrote over the top of, not Chernobyl.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
Oh, and there was a little bit of Gotham City Police Department banter in there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my verdict for part 3 was mostly pointless development of side characters that should have been developed in prior movies.
Well, I can't quite fault your logic on that. But
I mean, this is a 4-hour movie, so this is why.
This is why it's 4 hours long, because you're having to introduce every single character.
Yeah.
Part 4, Change Machine.
I mean, they have this meeting with Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, and Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, I say Bruce arrives at the GCPD in his typical fashion, but he brought some friends with him, and Gordon gives him all his information. Basically, gives him like, here's all the stuff that my detectives have brought in. Batman, can you do anything with it?
Yeah, and at some point somebody says, I'm really missing Superman right now, and I'm just like, yeah, me too. It's halfway through the movie, motherfucker. Bring in Superman. We're tired of these little leaguers.
So Cyborg looks at all that data, and because he's a computer, he's able to triangulate where the parademon nest would be located. And it's underneath Stryker's Island, where the big battle was in the last movie. And so they head over to Stryker's Island to go and attack the parademon base. And Bruce and Diana are strategizing, and then Cyborg sees his dad in danger, and he jumps the gun and kicks off the fight.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a surprise that happened, obviously. I mean, and this was a decent scene where you got to see lots of people fighting and doing action movie things. I mean, Batman's just getting wrecked by parademons, and it's just like, well, yep, you're terrible. And
he's just a dude.
Yeah.
It's very clear right off the bat he's just a dude. And even against the goons of this, physically he's not quite a match. Like he can fight one parademon pretty good, but if there's a bunch of them, they start teaming up and knocking him around.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, so Diana takes the fight to Steppenwolf, and he's got all sorts of good trash talk because he's slaughtered a bunch of Amazons.
Yeah.
And so he knows how to push her buttons big time.
Yeah, he even talks about her mom.
Yeah, he's like, oh, your mother begged for her life or whatever. And she's like, you're lying. My mom is alive. She sent an arrow.
Yeah, and I don't know. The scene was just kind of like a blah. It happened. Okay.
I think that's a cool scene. You're just a hater.
I'm not a hater. It's just too much.
It's too much. Batman gets to show off his newest vehicle, the Nightcrawler.
I think that a spider tank, a la Ghost in the Shell, is badass.
It is, and it can crawl through those tunnels, and Batman has just way too much money.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like...
He's like, I've been waiting to use this tunnel crawling thing.
Yeah, when it showed up, I was like, spider tank! Fuck yeah, spider tank! Because, obviously all the divers have listened to the Ghost in the Shell episode.
Another classic.
Yeah, we love the spider tank.
Yeah. And Cyborg gets a little moment with his dad. Flash gets a hero moment rescuing all these hostages.
It is funny when Flash trips and eats shit. That's kind of funny.
That's a great scene. And so I always talk about the way they set up how you display different power levels, because you have 3 super fast people between the Flash, Superman, and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
All of them are much faster than a baseline human.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder Woman's is fast enough that she can block bullets.
Yep.
But that's right at the edge of what she can do. Superman...
Yeah, she struggled in that scene with Bruce Bolton.
When the guy goes full auto, she's really hustling to hit that. Superman, he can almost catch up to Barry in the Speed Force.
Turns out he can actually fly fast enough to turn back time. We know this from a previous Superman movie.
That movie exists and is regarded as a classic. Yes, and then Barry is even faster.
Yeah, he's fast and
so
I love the Superman versus Barry fight that happens.
And I love here at this scene, Diana dives for her sword and Barry runs on the wall and just
touches it.
And she's fast enough she can perceive him. But she's not nearly as fast as him, and he's gloating a little too long in the moment and trips and just eats shit epically.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, because that's his role. He's the clown in the Justice League. And I mean, I didn't want them to kill him because he sees some real danger in this scene.
Oh yeah, Steppenwolf. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once everyone kind of gets on the same page, he knows he's sort of hosed. And Cyborg takes over the Nightcrawler and fires like all the munitions at him, and he catches a missile and floods the tunnel.
Well, you knew that water problems had to happen because Aquaman is in the movie.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason for Aquaman to show up.
Yeah.
And Aquaman swims in through the hole. When Steppenwolf blows up the tunnel, Aquaman swims in, and he's got his mother's trident. He went back and got it.
And the armor.
After Volko threw down the armor and said, "Put this shit on and go save the world." And he said, "No way." He went back and he's like, "I'll put it on."
God damn it. It is pretty cool.
Yeah. And it's pretty epic. And we've got pretty close to the whole team together.
Yeah. I mean, they get the team together and then they decide that they're going to use the Miracle Box or whatever it's called to resurrect Superman.
Yeah, well...
Because Cyborg's like, "Hey, guys, I know what it's saying."
What we skipped over was when Steppenwolf got back to not Chernobyl, he put the second mother box in place and discovered that the anti-life equation is on Earth.
Yeah.
And that was enough for him to actually get Darkseid on the phone.
Yeah.
Because Darkseid is pretty horny for the anti-life equation. That's what he's after.
My question is, why did Darkseid forget the anti-life equation, and how did he lose it?
Here's my take on that. It was carved in the surface of the Earth, so he didn't have it.
He didn't have it memorized.
He didn't have it memorized. He just had it all laid out. Okay. And he got owned by Professor Lupin back at back in the battle, and his troops drug him off. And in those days, he was conquering worlds at such a rate that he lost track of which was the one.
But don't you think immediately after that fight, he wouldn't be like, no, take me back. I need to go to that last world, because before we go to the next one, we got to go to that last one because I left my shit there.
There's ancient history, and they didn't put a pin in their GPS, and so they didn't know how to get back to that one.
Okay. aliens a space flight, they can't get back to the last world, or simply don't leave this world. I'm not done there yet.
No, he was unconscious, and they just went back to Apocalypse.
Okay.
They had to put him in whatever his
Bacta
tank on Apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when he woke up, he was like, "What world were we just on?" And they're like, "No one knows. We didn't write it down." He's like, "I left the anti-life equation there."
Damn it. It's like if you forget your favorite jacket somewhere and you just don't know where. Mm-hmm. You're like, fuck, that was my favorite jacket.
Or if you had a song you really liked and it was on a mixtape, but you didn't have the notes that
There's actually an app for that now. You can play a song and the app will
he didn't have
it.
the app back then. It was an ancient it was an antiquity.
Yeah.
They didn't have...
like I said, this whole anti-life equation thing could have been deleted from the movie. It was pointless.
But the anti-life equation is very important to Darkseid.
Sure.
Because
Darkseid's not even very important to this movie.
No, he's important to the next movie that's never coming.
Yeah, we'll never get more Snyder anything.
Probably not. So, but anyways, let's stay on track. He got Darkseid on the phone, and Darkseid's like, if you get all 3 boxes, I'll come and we can talk about you coming home.
Yeah.
We'll have a discussion. We might be able to waive the number of worlds you need to conquer if you get 3 mother boxes and the anti-life.
These guys are like champions of red tape.
If you submit the forms, we will process your request.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not impressed by these bad guys and their scrote fortress.
Okay.
It's just like, meh.
And so Bruce takes everyone back to the hangar with his cool jet that he's been trying to figure out how to get working. And Cyborg explains everything about the mother box to them. And then that's when they have the epiphany that you could bring Superman back to life with the mother box.
Yeah.
And then we get a moment, one last moment,
Lois.
with Martha Kent goes to visit Lois, and they have a really a nice like bonding moment with each other that is immediately undermined.
Yeah, why did they steal that from Martha Kent? Why did they make that Martian Manhunter and not Martha? Is Martian Manhunter always Martha?
No.
Or just in that moment?
Just in that moment.
And then what about as the general? Is he always the general?
Yes, he is. The general has always been the Martian Manhunter through all these movies.
Okay.
That is who he's been hiding himself as.
All right.
So you've had a lot of complaints up until this point, and even though I've been happy to make fun of some of the goofier moments of it, this was my first big speed bump in the movie.
It's just a random inclusion.
And it feels so unearned, and it also, it undermines the relationship between Lois and Martha, which is that's sort of an important relationship that we've been building over 3 movies.
Yeah, I feel like stealing that from Martha was cheap.
I completely agree. I would say this, when I think about this movie, this is that one thing that sticks in my craw that I'm like, I really wish they hadn't done that. And I'm a big fan of the Martian Manhunter. I really like that character.
Yeah, he seems cool.
I'm just not a fan of introducing him like this.
Yeah. And so that's basically the end of part 4. And
Correct.
I say my verdict is better. I started liking The Flash.
Part 5. All the King's horses. The gang digs up Superman.
Yeah,
and
they're grave robbing Superman's grave. As if Superman's body would be... The government would allow Superman's body to be put in a mundane, undefended grave.
No one knows except for Bruce and Diana and the Kent family. No one knows he's buried there. Everyone thinks he's buried in DC.
Okay. I still don't think that the government would allow that to happen. Alien body, etc.
Mm-hmm. You think they would?
They're way more insidious than that.
Okay. For the sake of this movie, this is where he is in a mundane grave. And I have a big laugh there when the Flash says, "Scratch that off the bucket list." and I was like, "Oh man, I love Barry Allen so much. He is my favorite."
Yeah, I thought that this whole thing was they've got all these ideas and stuff, and I like that Alfred is kind of poking holes in things, and he tends to be smarter than any of the Justice League.
Yeah, Alfred, I have in my notes, Alfred has some misgivings about raising the dead.
Yeah.
I like this scene. I think it's probably it is probably a scene that was cut, I think, from the theatrical version, and it is cuttable because it's not important. The grave robbing scene is the important part.
Yeah.
And Arthur and Diana get to do a little bonding there about their warring cultures. But the thing that I keep thinking about this scene with Bruce and Alfred in the hangar, and the reason I keep thinking about it is Bruce is wearing what I have to assume is at least a $500 to $700 black shearling coat to turn wrenches in.
Yeah.
And I'm just so flattered that someone could be so rich that's what they work on a plane wearing, that they're wearing this like obscenely expensive jacket to just like, oh yeah, if I get oil on it, whatever, it's already black.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. That didn't stick out to me, but I do like how money is no object to Bruce Wayne.
He doesn't even seem to be aware of the value of money at all.
Yeah.
It's just like, it just doesn't ever occur to him.
So they go to the scene where they're like faking that the Flash is an airman. He's in an Air Force uniform and he's going, he's going to the facility. And I don't know. I couldn't tell. Were they intentionally trying to make it look like Barry was doing a really shitty job as an airman, or were they just not quality controlling the movie?
No, I think he's supposed to be being silly. Like
because he wears the beret just completely wrong.
Yeah,
he's got the crest in the middle of his forehead and the beret pulled all the way down. He said he salutes from inside a vehicle, which you don't do, and he says "aye" like he's a sailor.
Yeah, and then he kind of like almost does a face palm after he does that too, like because he says he repeats it to himself. Because there's like a little establishing scene there where he's trying to decide between the cap and the beret.
Yeah.
And he's like, Arthur, which one looks less preposterous? Number one? And he's like, definitely not number one. And he puts on the beret, goes, let me see number one again. And then he decides to go with the beret. But it's supposed to be clowning. It's supposed to be comic.
Yeah, because it never would have stood up to a guard post.
No. But his credentials match because Cyborg finessed it.
Yeah, I still don't think that would have got him into a base. If someone's just obviously clowning and being weird, you just wouldn't let them in.
You'd want to.
Oh yeah, I have guarded checkpoints in the Middle East. That's just you wouldn't let them in. Basically you have to trust your instincts. You always have to listen to that. And if you make somebody important wait because something didn't seem right, they'll understand because the security is more important than their ego.
That makes sense. If that is going to be a stumbling block for your suspension of disbelief, this was probably not the movie for you, though.
Sure. So anyway, the movie started bad, but it's starting to get better. We only took till part 5. I think there's a Lois scene that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, she was really moved by her talk with Martha, and she's going to get back to work. And the camera kind of lingers, and you see the pregnancy test in her drawer. Oh, and so you're kind of like, oh man, does she just keep one on deck just in case, or
she's been fucking around?
Ooh. Well, I mean, he's dead.
Yeah, she's not his property.
She doesn't know he's about to come back.
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
It would be super awkward.
So yeah, I mean,
and so Cyborg basically triggers all the alarms at Star Labs and gets the building evacuated. And his dad kind of knows this is janky and something's up. But then when he sees his son roll in with the Super Friends, and
he's like, yeah, this is definitely an emergency. Get out of here. Yeah, I thought that was all right. And then I think Cyborg taking over the Kryptonian ship technologically, that was kind of, I don't know, that was interesting. It was a thing that happened.
We're establishing how his powers work.
Yeah, he's very powerful with technology.
Yeah. He's like you'd call him like a technopath now.
Sure, and he is his his technology powers are not terrestrial in origin anyway.
Correct. Yeah.
So it doesn't really, it can't, it's not weird that he's taking over a an alien ship because his powers are alien.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was cool that the Flash provided the power by, doing laps and stuff.
Yeah. And so this is the first time we see Barry go to that, like, verging on the speed of light speed where time starts to move backwards.
Yeah.
Because they have this whole plan of you put Superman into the, what do they call it? Genesis chamber? Something from Man of Steel.
Yeah,
You put Superman's body in the Genesis chamber and you touch him with the mother box, and Barry's going to provide the charge with the Speed Force, and that'll make the mother box reactivate Superman. And Cyborg gets one of those nightmare visions like Bruce had in the last movie, where he sees the dark timeline where Superman's evil and all of that stuff.
And they really should have just cut all of these visions. I hate dream sequences unless they come home to roost and be a thing, but they never actually are a thing in this movie.
Yeah, because they were going to be a thing in the next movie that's not coming.
Yeah, so it's just, this was pointless.
I agree. When we get to the last one, I've developed a working theory on the nightmare sequences.
Okay.
And I haven't told anyone what I think is going on, but I came up with something.
All right.
But anyways, yes, I'm not a big fan of the nightmare sequences either. Although we got another Green Lantern in this one, Kilowog's there, and he's dead because Superman's killed everybody.
Sure. And so, I mean, it's pretty cool. I like the evil Superman. He's pretty fucking grim. I like that. But I thought that the scene was just extraneous. I think that, I mean, obviously they resurrect Superman. He comes back. But he's not himself. He's, he doesn't have his memory. His vision. He's seeing things in X-ray, just like Zod did. He basically turns into Zod at this point.
Yeah, it's taken him a while to reboot, right? Like he kind of comes out almost like a blank slate. He bursts through first the mother box shoots through the roof of the ship, and goes crashing down on a police car. Then Superman takes off, and
this is the first scene in the entire movie. I don't know, 3 hours in, when you have Kal-El flying over the city and kind of hovering there. It's the first moment in the whole movie that's actually epic. They finally achieved it.
You think? Okay.
Finally achieved. It attempted many times. It was like, strike 9, strike 10. Oh, you got it on 11.
I'm gonna forgive your harsh criticism because they were coming from such a low place with BVS, and I understand you came into this kind of expecting it to be bad, and then having
it's a continuation.
Yeah, having your expectations met. You're like, this is bad. And it's taken them a long time to overcome it, but we've got there now.
Imagine if this movie came right after Man of Steel. It would have been way better.
Oh, I think you'd be more willing to accept it. Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I think it's really, you have to take that into account, that having that bad movie in there, you lose a lot of the goodwill that you have, like to just kind of roll with things.
Well, it's like if a chef serves you food and it sucks, the next meal they bring to you, you're like, I don't know if I want to even eat this.
You're scrutinizing everything more. Whereas if you had just had a good meal, you're like, well, I don't know where this is going, but I'm excited to find out.
Like whatever you bring, it'll be fine.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, okay. But
who are the movie makers that are like that? That you just into anything they do, you'll watch it and you'll think it's good.
Oh, geez. I don't know.
Because I used to be able to say that about Tim Burton, but not.
Oh, no, not for years.
Not for a long time.
Not for a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, that's a story. That's a conversation for another day.
David Lynch.
He makes challenging movies. Those are movies like, you're like, those are always, did I like that? Every time. And you're like, I mean, I'm going to see the next one, but I'm always like, what was that about?
That's sort of like after you've watched like you power watched like 25 episodes of Twin Peaks, you're like, huh. You're just like thinking about it.
Wait, who killed that girl? Yeah. So Superman, the ship says the future has taken root in the present, and Superman flies out. He's surveying Metropolis. He's looking at his crushed monument. The League lines up out there, or at least the ones with superpowers, and Cyborg's automatic defenses
Coming online.
They assess Superman as a threat, and he shoots his sonic cannon at Superman, and that proved to be a big mistake.
Yeah, and then the Justice League does battle with Superman and pretty much loses.
Yeah, we find out why he's called Superman. Like, basically, all of these very superpowered individuals, no one can touch him on a power level.
Yeah, it's basically Diana is really close to him. Mm-hmm. She's a little behind. She can't really hang one-on-one.
Yeah.
But with some help, she's doing all right with the rope.
And Arthur's right there, too. Like,
yeah. It feels like the ranking is like Superman, then Wonder Woman, then Aquaman. Then I guess Cyborg and Flash are tied, and then maybe Batman at the bottom.
Cyborg is probably quite a bit more powerful, like on a hitting level than the Flash is. Mm-hmm. But being able to move so fast essentially gives him a lot of force to hit people with.
Well, also, yeah, he can dodge everything.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Superman is coming after Barry. And
I love that
just
scene.
Like, it's like, whoa, shit, no. And he's like barely getting away. He is faster than Superman, but Superman is, he's next level.
Yeah. And so all through watching this movie, because I had seen the theatrical cut a couple of times, I was always, there's certain scenes that I did like in that version, and I was like, are all the scenes that I did like in the movie in this version, or are any of them Joss Whedon additions?
Oh.
Zero Joss Whedon additions are my favorite scenes.
Okay.
Everything that I like is in this movie, so that means 100% the stuff I liked in it.
So you're a Snyder brony.
I am a Snyder brony, and I'm a Joss hater.
Everyone's a Joss hater now.
Yeah,
because it turns out he's an asshole.
It's trendy to hate him now.
Well,
you're the hater hipster.
I am hater hipster because I've been anti Joss Whedon forever. Anyway,
yes, I love that scene where Superman's taking swings at Barry.
Yeah, that's the best part of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And Barry's face when Superman clocks him, and can see him, and he's like, "You can see."
He's like,
"You can see in flash time."
He's like, "Oh no, oh no!" And then he starts coming after him. It's like true worry. It's pretty great. Like. I thought that the two characters, aside from Superman, that really stood out were Wonder Woman and the Flash. Mm-hmm. They were the ones who stood out.
Yeah, there's and something that's I think really obvious here. If you're a video game player, I think Zack Snyder's logged some time playing the Injustice games because everyone kind of fights like they do in the Injustice games. Like they have the same fighting styles.
Is that a fighting game or an adventure game? Okay.
It's from the Mortal Kombat people, but it's with DC characters. And it's a lot like the Nightmare timeline where evil Superman is the dictator and Batman leads the resistance against him.
Never played it.
Yeah. You got a little taste of it in this scene, like what it looks like. Like that scene where Clark and Diana have a little headbutt off.
Yeah,
I like that one too. Like he headbutts her, or she does. Who does it first? He headbutts her.
I don't remember.
Then she headbutts him, and then he does the flying headbutt and just drives her into the dirt.
Yeah. And so it's at some point this ended the only way that it could have ended. Superman flies away.
Well, you cut to the chase. He sees Batman finally shows up because he had to walk because he's just a dude.
Yeah, he can't fly Superman. He learned that before.
He can't fly, and he starts trying to reason with him. And Superman is like, I don't remember a lot, but I remember you are an asshole.
Yeah.
I'm going to laser the shit out of you.
Dude, that is my favorite thing about the evil Superman is just the judicious use of laser eyes. That's my favorite part of Homelander.
It's the boys came later, but since the boys, I cannot. Anytime his eyes turn red, I think of Homelander's voice saying, "I will laser every fucking one of you."
I love that scene, and it's all in his mind. He just imagines like lasering a whole crowd. It's just like brutal. I love the boys.
Yeah,
I can't wait for the next season.
but luckily for Batman, who was about to just get lasered to shit, Lois was there because this was the last time she was going to bring coffee to the memorial.
Yeah, that would have been the last time we saw Batman.
And Clark sees Lois, and it snaps him at least partially out of it. And he goes to her, and they fly off to Kansas.
Yeah, and that's cool. But then Steppenwolf shows up.
That's right. Oh man, yes. I was ready to go to the next scene, but you're right. Steppenwolf boom tubes in because they woke up the mother box. That's what he's been waiting for.
Yeah, he's like, oh shit, I got a ping on my radar.
And luckily, or not luckily for him, Silas has, when the mother box crashed down, Silas yoinked it and took it into the lab.
He literally put his jacket over it.
What's this alien debris? Yeah.
Well, he's the original thief of the mother box, so
that is true. He's like, I don't know what happened to that artifact.
Holy shit, the box that brought my son back also brought Superman back.
He takes it into the lab and sets up his super cool laser that we foreshadowed earlier in the movie. We forgot to mention it, but he has a laser that can superheat metal. He sets up the laser. Steppenwolf is on his ass, comes in there. He's wrecking shit like the Hulk. And Silas doesn't have time to get out of the laser room, shuts the door, turns on the laser with himself in there. Cyborg shows up just in time to see his dad get vaporized.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because it's like, Victor, you okay? It's like, he just like, it's like, what is he supposed to say? It's like, my dad just lasered himself to death and I watched it all in gory details. I'm good.
Yeah, you're right, because Barry asked him, he's like, Vic, you okay, man? And he's like, he's dead. My dad just died. And Barry's like, whoa, I don't know what.
That was your dad?
I
thought it was just a dipshit. What the fuck?
Should we sweep this up?
Could you make your hand into a little vacuum thingy?
Oh, dark, Dave. Cyborg just lost his dad. Oh, it's bad.
What a keepsake, like put him in a little urn thing. Anyway,
so everyone shows up too late to do anything. But Victor has the epiphany of what his father was actually doing because the laser didn't damage the mother box at all, but it made it so it's going to show up now.
Yeah, he superheated it so that when, of course, it gets taken by Steppenwolf, Silas can track it. Or I'm sorry, Victor can track it.
Yeah, so they're going to go back to the Batcave and get on the Bat satellite and look.
Wouldn't it be the Battlite? I mean, come on.
I think it's just a Wayne Industries satellite that Batman used that's off the books.
So yeah, I mean, verdict for part 5, it actually got interesting. This was a very interesting part. I was into it. Superman's into it. He's back. I liked the Flash. I loved the play between Superman and the Flash. I thought that was a great scene. And so it's good. I can't believe they waited until part 5 to bring back Superman.
Halfway through the movie.
It's more than halfway through the movie.
It's they start digging him up at halfway through the movie.
Man, it just seemed like so much cuttable nonsense. This should have happened within half an hour.
So, well, let's be fair to this because, like I said, it's more or less an assembly cut. It's all of the usable footage. If you were going to release this as a theatrical film, you would have cut a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You have to look at it for what it is, and it's what it says it is. It's everything we shot. So
and nothing Josh shot.
And nothing that Josh shot. Yeah, it's everything that we could use that we shot is in this movie. So yeah, it's extra long because of that, but it's not a theatrical release movie. It's not.
No, this is a fan service thing.
Yeah. It's like, you wanted to see everything? Here's everything.
Yeah. And I mean, I would go on record as saying that I would like them to continue the Snyderverse. I would like to see the rest of it. I don't think that.
See, that's really interesting because I feel the same way. I don't think we're going to get that.
No.
But literally half the movie you dookied on.
The thing is like we haven't got to part 6 yet. Mm-hmm. It's an avalanche. This movie's an avalanche. It starts very slow. Mm-hmm. It's almost ignorable. It's just few pebbles.
Just
and
building
eventually,
and building.
By the end of it, it's just crushing, and it's good.
Interesting. Okay. Lois and Clark arrive in Kansas, and Clark starts to kind of like, he's getting little memory cues. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, I grew up here.
And you know what this reminds me of?
Corn.
This reminds me of Dune almost. Kyle MacLachlan. Mm-hmm. Cavill can act.
Yeah.
He's really good.
So since you brought up Dune, I mean, shockingly, because we never talk about it.
It's barely mentioned.
Dune is to Star Wars what Justice League is to the Avengers.
Dune is to Star That's not true. It's like because Dune is better than Star Wars and Justice League is worse than the Avengers.
Dune is.
Have you seen 6 out of 9 of those movies?
There's only one Dune, so you can't. You have to compare the 1-to-1. Dune and A New Hope. Those are the.
Okay, both are very good.
Yeah, Justice League is the Dune to Marvel's Avengers.
I don't know if this doesn't really. Isn't.
No, it's the darker, less accessible, more arty.
Is it more arty?
Oh yeah, Marvel doesn't make Marvel. Not that Marvel doesn't make art, but this is much more of an art film than anything Marvel's ever done.
Yeah, I've been disappointed in Marvel movies lately.
Marvel movies are safe.
Yeah, I mean,
Zack Snyder movies are not safe. He kills Superman.
Yeah, I don't like that. But I mean, I get it. I did. Anyway, I don't know if I totally agree with that, but this is getting better. And I like the scenes there in Kansas. I think that Henry Cavill, I think all the people in the scene do a really great job. All 3 actors are awesome. And it's just
I've really kind of become an Amy Adams fan over the course of watching these movies.
Makes me wonder what else she's in so that I could check it out.
Need to watch that. There's a movie with her and Jeremy Renner, and like an alien spaceship arrives on Earth.
Huh. Yeah.
And it's, I think, God, did Denis Villeneuve direct that's directing Dune?
I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Now we'll have to.
We'll look that up.
When is Dune out, by the way? I guess that's
in the winter, right? Like Christmas time.
Oh, okay. Because we got that trailer and we did a whole episode on it.
It got delayed when everything got because COVID fuckered everything.
Anyway, so basically,
the League shows up to the Batcave,
and it's dope.
I do. I love this version of the Batcave, and I love Batman. Batman doesn't quip, but he has a dry wit. Yeah. And so he shows up. He goes, "This is Alfred. I work for him."
Yeah.
and I love the relationship that they just kind of seed in really softly between Alfred and Diana, who like they're just so charmed with each other. Like they both think they're great.
They both are. That's a really cool. I really like that too. Mm-hmm. I thought that the only character in this, like when they arrived in this scene, that I thought was lame was Cyborg,
because he snubs Alfred.
Too cool for school. Yeah, you don't snub Jeremy Irons, you shit.
Yeah, you're in this man's cave, and you can't even give him a dab as you walk by.
That would have been hilarious if he dabbed.
Or I meant to say dap, but yeah, either one. A dab would be even funnier.
His arms up in the air. Oh man, that would be fucking hilarious.
Like, and I love Aquaman gives him. He's like, "This is badass, Alfred."
Yeah,
like, pretty cool cave.
Yeah, I mean, Aquaman is sort of painted as like kind of a man's man in this movie.
Yeah,
like
he's surf bro Aquaman. I'm here for that.
Yeah, it's cool. And of course Barry is just like, whoa, dude.
He's like, look at all these computers.
He's cool. And then so they have their scene like, wow, we're a super team now and we have a base. And then it kind of goes back to Lois and Martha.
Yeah, Martha shows up, and they all kind of like group hug in the cornfield.
Yeah.
And Clark's like, I hate to go, but they wouldn't have raised the dead if it wasn't important.
Yeah, exactly. He comes back to himself, and the moment with Lois and Martha, and that's what humanizes the space god.
Yeah,
and makes him the most likable character because he's like a real dude, and it's just a really good scene. I enjoyed it, and then they go back to the Batcave, and I'm forced to wonder, does that Justice League jet have a name? Because, the Avengers have, like, that sky barge thing.
Well, you mean the helicarriers?
Yeah.
So he just called it, like, a Wayne Industries troop mover or something.
Yeah.
It's a bat plane. Once it's been... You know how, like, in the Dark Knight movies... Like the Batmobile, what was it called? The
Tumbler.
The Tumbler, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Wayne Industries Tumbler, and then I painted it black, and now it's a Batmobile. This is a Wayne Industries troop mover. You paint it black. This is a bat plane. It's nothing like a Wayne Industries troop mover. This is black.
Black. It's completely covered.
The ones we sell the army are green.
Yeah, I just wondered if it had a name because it seems very cheesy, but it's cool.
Yeah, and Victor got it to fly. Throughout this whole movie, Bruce and Alfred have been trying to figure out what's wrong with it, but Victor, because he's a technopath, he can talk to it basically.
It wants to fly.
Yeah, it's its nature to fly. It's yours too.
Just fuck off, Cyborg.
Hater. You're rooting against poor Ray Fisher.
He's
the heart of the movie.
The heart of the movie?
That's what a lot of people say.
Lois Lane.
Lois Lane is the heart of Superman. That's what
he's
Diana
the heart
says.
of Justice League.
You make a fair point.
Okay. So everybody takes notice at some point when the Infinity Cubes are joined up. I figured if Thanos has a gauntlet, why can't like Steppenwolf or Darkseid have like a garment, like a hat or a belt or something?
A belt that he puts the mother boxes in?
That would be better.
You don't, because you just kind of you take the mother boxes and you just
I hate that name.
You jam them into whatever big slab, whatever monolith you find, and you just jam them in there and they melt their way in. And then when you have all three, they all kind of Rubik's Cube together.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. They don't, it's hard for them to do it. And then they just become one box.
But why couldn't that box be like a hat? Anyway.
Oh, Dave.
It's just that MacGuffin doesn't get me. I'm way more on board with the Infinity Gauntlet. It's just cool. Whereas these cubes things are not that cool.
Yeah. And so I said this earlier, but because I'm kind of like, I'm steeped in this stuff, mainly through the animation, like through the Justice League animated series and Young Justice and a bunch of these shows. So I just take all this shit for granted. Mother boxes, boom tubes, just all of that stuff. Like, I just, like, those words just fall out of my mouth like they're real words about real things. Parademons, new gods, apocalypse. It's all like, in my mind, these are all just normal things. And I have to take a step back to be like, oh, this is all... Like when you were explaining Warcraft earlier, and you said, "Oh, he's a lich, and he controls the floating fortress." That's nonsense too.
It is all nonsense.
This is all fantasy nonsense. It's just about mythology and like heroic journey and stuff. Like,
sure, but I think if you're designing a MacGuffin for a cool plot device thing, you could do cooler than 3 cubes that join when you bring them together. It's just not that interesting. What if they had taken, like, it was a crown that had been broken into 3 parts, and when you join the parts together, then they become powerful.
But
essentially, a million different tropes.
But the thing is, once the 3 boxes become the unity, then it just destroys the world, and it's gone. So it's not like you want to wear the thing. You just want them to do their business.
You want them to do the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's just kind of a funky device, and I'm not into it.
Yeah, and the 3 boxes, like, it seems like once you put them all together, like, it seems like it should be game over, but they have to take like an hour to puzzle their way together.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen. Like, it's like Steppenwolf is watching the mother boxes like try to push together, like he's waiting for the popcorn to pop in the microwave.
Yeah, he's
like, come on,
shit,
he's like,
be sick.
It's like, oh, I can't wait. I love kettle corn.
And so then it cuts, and we've got Kal-El on the ship, back on the ship, and you hear the voices of Jor-El and Jonathan Kent.
Yeah. I was really kind of worried that we wouldn't hear from the 2 dads in this movie.
We could have skipped Jor-El.
I'm there for both of them. I do. Jonathan Kent,
he's real dad.
Yeah, but I like Jor-El too. I was really glad they got their little voiceover, and it was new dialogue that we hadn't quite heard before. So
sure.
They had them do some ADR or something.
And I think it's cool, like, how he's in this, like, hall with all these armor options and stuff. And I was like, choose that one. Because there was, like, this dope-ass armored one.
Yeah,
that looked kind of Kryptonian. And I was like, that's what I want to see.
Which House of L suit do you want? The full-on battle armor? The blue and red? Do you want the casual wear? The formal wear? And he's like, I just came back from the dead. I want the black one.
Give me the black one. It attracts the most sunlight. I'm weak.
That is what the black suit is for, Dave. You're made for this. Did you look that up?
No, I didn't. I just figured that's the most sun-attracting color, and he's a sun god.
That is literally the point of the black Superman suit.
Okay,
so
effective.
When Superman died in the comics, and he came back, he was wearing the black suit for that exact reason. To draw in the solar energy.
Huh.
So, yes, you get it.
Okay. I mean, Carrie might have said something after the fact, but yeah, I got it. I got the point just immediately upon seeing it. I was like, oh yeah, sun god needs sun. That's the black suit, but the armor was black too.
No, the armor's more like
it's
gray.
Metallic and stuff. Yeah, okay.
And then he flies up into the sky and does his Jesus Christ pose again. And the Superman theme crescendos for the first time in any of these movies.
Oh, okay.
So that his theme is always building, and this is the first time it actually gets there.
Yeah, and I just thought that he looked sick in that black suit,
and
it was cool.
Also, it's really fitting we're releasing this like basically Easter weekend because our Savior is risen. Hail Space Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one. I mean, so yeah, then he goes and it cuts to the Justice League.
Hey, that's pretty good that's the first time one of us made that mistake.
Okay, yeah, cuts to the Justice League, and they're like, Batman's like, take down that scrote.
Yeah, so I like this. Batman essentially is like, I'm going to kamikaze this thing because I'm just a dude and you guys are going to need to do all the hard work and I'll give you support until I die.
Yeah, why didn't they wait for Superman? They didn't know he was back.
They didn't know for sure he was coming, and they're on a time
and
limit.
Lois couldn't ring them? Lois knew.
But
like
there's
Lois calls, he's back, guys. He's back. He came to his senses.
She's in a cornfield in Kansas. She's got no bars.
Yeah.
She's like, she hasn't quite. It's gonna take her a little bit. Like, shit. How do I get home now?
Yeah, she doesn't have a car.
Yeah.
She's like, and my wallet.
Martha, can you drive me to Kansas City? I just flew here.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the beginning of the climax of the movie.
Yes.
When they go to attack Steppenwolf's base, and I thought that Batfleck at this point, during this fight and after this fight, I start to think he's probably the best Batman. This is probably Batman in top form.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've liked him all through the movie.
And I love that he just pulls guns on people and just like, bam, bam, bam.
They're just parademons. There's no prohibition on shooting a parademon in the head.
And this time he's got like a fighter jet, and he uses tanks, and like I just like that kind of Batman. I like the guy who uses weapons of war.
Mm-hmm. And so one of the longtime divers, our buddy Ted, he didn't like how Batman's using all like the alien guns and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But I'll say I like essentially he uses bat gadgets until he runs out of bat gadgets, and then he's just grabbing what he gets. Like kill a parademon, take his gun. When this thing's empty, I'm on to the next one. Like, and he just sort of gun foos his way through parademons.
I see. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed it, and I like Batman in his fighter jet thing or whatever, and it just looks pretty cool. And then we also he's got at this point he's in the Batmobile that's kind of like the Tumbler, but like sleeker and a little less military, but still kind of looks I don't know.
Yeah,
same vibe.
And this is very much like if you played the game Arkham Knight, like and did any of the Batmobile stuff in that game. It's just like you're watching the game.
Okay,
like this is a really hard mission in Gotham Knight.
So do you think that Snyder played all the games?
Yes. Oh, yes. I think he plays these games. I'm pretty sure Henry Cavill plays these games.
Oh, yeah. He's a total nerd. He plays WoW and 40K and all that stuff.
Yeah, but I definitely the video games are a huge influence on Zack Snyder.
Okay.
Because a lot of things you're like, this looks just like that game, and it's fun like that game. Like, when
that's cool.
You're ripping around, running people over with the Batmobile.
I think that they have this run and gun battle, and we could scene by scene it, but there are a few beautiful moments that I think really make a character cool. Like when Aquaman is car surfing, I was just like, yeah, I love Jason Momoa.
Yeah, that whole thing there, and I just wrote thrilling heroics in my notes. I didn't call these things out. So, but that obviously that is a big one. Batman basically planned to die, and the Justice League is like, no man left behind.
Yeah.
We're going to keep you alive. We need your money, old man. And so Aquaman kind of surfs on the Batmobile, then jumps up, and he's just sort of like stabbing his way through parademons. And then he's just free falling out there, and Cyborg catches him, and they have their little like bonding moment. He's like, my man. And then Cyborg chucks him, and he surfs a parademon down through a building.
I love how he was car surfing and then he was dude surfing.
And he's just like utterly fearless. He can't fly.
Yeah.
But he just sort of like, I'm pretty much indestructible, so whatever happens, happens.
It seems like flight is probably like a like MVP power.
But so for many, many years, Aquaman has been kind of treated like a punchline.
Yeah.
And people really underestimate how powerful someone would have to be to like hang out at the bottom of the ocean.
Oh, okay,
like how strong, like the sort of pressure you can withstand, and just like Aquaman is super fucking strong. Like he's not just a guy that talks to fish. He's a super powerful dude.
Yeah, I mean, he demonstrates in this movie that he's pretty badass. And I liked it. And I thought that he had his moment. Kind of everyone has their moment. It's like Batman has a moment, then Aquaman, and you get some Cyborg, you get some Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, she's just slicing parademons to pieces.
She's basically a wrecking ball. Like wherever she goes, she wins. That's just how it goes. And I like that because she's supposed to be kind of that the anchor to the team, I guess.
Yeah, and as of right now, she's the heaviest hitter that they have.
Yeah. And at a certain point, Steppenwolf just starts wrecking people. Steppenwolf has to get involved.
Yeah, so Cyborg is up there getting in position. He's going to pull the mother boxes apart, and Diana and Arthur are basically supposed to be handling Steppenwolf, and Steppenwolf is trying to get to Cyborg.
Yeah, and it starts to get pretty gnarly, and Steppenwolf is kicking a ton of ass, and then all of a sudden, Superman shows up.
Yeah, the tide turns when Superman shows up. I almost like I'll take it, but I feel like they make him too powerful.
You think so? Like in what way?
Well, so do we assume that Steppenwolf's battle axe is less powerful than Ares' God of War's battle axe? Because Ares just about cut Darkseid's arm off. Steppenwolf brings the axe down, same place on Superman, and Superman just like shrugs and he says, "Not impressed," and then shatters the axe.
I think I think that it might. I don't know if it's a I don't know if it's a comparable comparison, because Superman is very specifically invulnerable to physical damage. Like this is just you can't take an axe and cut the uncuttable thing.
Yeah, but it's a god's axe. It's not just any axe.
Well, they don't ever mention that Steppenwolf is a god.
That's fair.
In this movie, if anything, Superman wasn't overpowered, Steppenwolf was underpowered.
Okay.
Because he's never called a new god. He's literally just Darkseid's minion.
So I take that as sort of deliberate signaling that he's physically stronger than Darkseid, is what they're saying. Because it's like the same thing happened to him. Darkseid got owned and Superman shrugged it off.
Okay.
So that's how I took it. And I was like, I don't know if I think Superman should be... But maybe. He's more powerful than Darkseid, though. That's what I take away from that moment.
Yeah, and I thought it was cool because Superman, it's like when they were writing the character or developing the character, they just gave him like every power they could think of.
Yeah.
And so the breath of frost, the freezing breath, always gets just sort of forgotten because it's sort of a negligible power. Same with the X-ray vision. It's barely ever used. And so I liked it how it showed up once, he freezes the axe and then breaks it while it's brittle.
And then the three of them triple team Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
And it's brutal. Like, they give him no quarter. They just beat him into the dirt. Superman lasers one of his horns off.
Yeah, and at first, in the very beginning, when Steppenwolf showed up, I was a little bit groany at how they just brought like a CGI villain in.
Yeah.
But through this, 3.5, 4 hours at this point, I got to the point where I was like, I kind of like Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him just die here. And he just gets fucking owned hard.
Yeah. So they're just, I said they stomp a mud hole in Steppenwolf. But while that's going on, the luckiest parademon in all of history manages to shoot the Flash while he's running at nearly light speed.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, and I thought it's basically one of those moments where it's like, if you put enough rounds downrange, eventually one will accidentally hit the target.
Yeah, basically he's watched him. He's going around and he's just like, I gotta hit him eventually.
If I just spray bullets into that path, maybe I'll hit him. And that's what happened.
Yeah. And Ezra Miller does a great job of acting like somebody that's never been shot before just got shot in the side.
Yeah.
Because I really believe like the pain that he's in there in that scene. He's like, just got the wind knocked out of me. Like, it's like, he's hurting.
And Cyborg is like, it's time.
Yeah. But
we didn't mention it, but the Flash is using his really special ability to nobody else can really simulate this. He's the only one. Yeah,
to create enough energy that he can help Victor to essentially merge with the mother boxes.
Yeah.
And that's how he's going to pull them apart. But they don't make it. They don't get the job done in time because Flash got shot, and the Unity forms, and the world ends, and the movie's over.
Yeah.
But wait.
There's more.
There's more. Even though they failed, Barry cowboys up the last second and runs faster than he's ever run before.
He pulls a Superman.
Yeah. Well, no. So, have you watched Tenet yet?
No.
Okay. You got to watch Tenet.
What is it? A show?
No, it's a Chris Nolan movie.
Okay.
It's sort of like a Chris Nolan James Bond movie, but about time travel.
Okay.
It's really good, but the whole movie is about this ability to move backwards through time.
Okay.
Flash does not turn back time. Flash moves so fast that he reverses his own entropy and moves backwards through time.
Yeah,
He runs back to before the boxes form the unity.
Yeah, I got the impression that this wasn't like time travel. He literally was moving so fast he could move himself in reverse, not the world goes in reverse. He went back to a point which was before things blew up so that he could change it.
Yeah. I love this shit, man.
It's pretty cool.
Like, it's so epic, and like, cause you talk about like trying for epic and missing the mark.
Yeah.
This one hits it.
Yeah,
like, this is such a cool moment. And
the Flash saves the day. He basically, he's the young kid who's the jokester, and he manages to reverse the explosion. He sends himself back in time, and makes it so that, they succeed. Yeah, and that's pretty cool.
Kevin Smith always says on the Fat Man Beyond podcast, he always says about the Flash, he says, the boy has problems, and at the end of the day, the boy solves the problems by running really fast. True to form, that's what Barry does. He's like, you know what I'm going to do with this problem? I'm going to run really fast.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good storytelling for, to make that somehow work. And so they reverse it. And then Cyborg,
he goes into the mother box, and the I guess there's witches inside the mother box.
Yeah.
Like, we saw these witches in the heroic or the Age of Heroes montage. Like there's like a crone for each mother box or something.
Yeah,
I guess those are the mothers.
Oh shit! Of the mother boxes,
they're the boxes they're the mothers the boxes are named after.
Are they an allusion to the myth of like the Norns who spin fate?
But there seems to be like almost unlimited mother boxes.
Okay.
Like you take 3 to make a unity, but he has mother box. He's done this on other planets, so there's not just 3 mother boxes.
Okay. Where do they source the mothers? Dathomir? It's all witches.
Oh, Darkseid said that he moves throughout the multiverse. Maybe he does dip over to Star Wars and grab some witches.
That would be hilarious.
I need these to power my boxes.
He's like, he shows up on the planet and they're like, oops, all witches.
Darth Maul's like, who the fuck is that? I just came for 3 witches. I'm making a box.
I'm making 3 boxes. Yeah.
Anyways.
That would be great. But this movie...
basically they tempt Cyborg with we'll give you your family back. He's not having it. It's a trick. They're witches. He pulls the boxes apart. He needs Superman to lend an assist, and between the 2 of them, they get the 3 boxes apart.
Yeah, I thought that was it wasn't as epic of a conclusion as the Flash part of it. I mean, but it was like
a double conclusion, right?
Yeah.
Like the Flash had his moment, and then Cyborg has his moment, and then while Steppenwolf is like, "Oh, I can still save this. Somehow I can turn it around." Arthur Curry comes in with the stab in the back.
Yeah.
He puts the pitchfork out the front of his chest and just He-Mans him up in the air. Superman punts him through the boom tube that opened up to Apocalypse. And coup de grace, Diana cuts his fucking head off.
Yeah.
Fatality. This is Mortal Kombat.
I was very much like, oh, don't kill him. Don't cut his head off. We wanted more of this guy.
Yeah, well, I
guess Diana doesn't fuck around.
She does not. How many times in some movie they thought they killed a monster and then you didn't cut its head off and the monster gets back up?
That's true. I mean, they could have burned it too.
Yeah.
And that would have been the next step.
Put a stake in his heart. Yeah. But no, they served up notice to Darkseid here. They kicked it. They cut his head off, kicked him through the hole, and everyone just sort of posts up and mean mugs Darkseid.
Yeah, that was what I thought of that. It was basically like, so they group pose in front of the thing that Darkseid can see. So he sees, oh shit, okay, there's like all these badasses there, and they just stand there and they just give him the look like, fuck around and find out.
Yeah, that's what I said. Earth says fuck off. Like, that was the message.
Yeah, and it was loudly conveyed, but I mean, we know that Darkseid wants the anti-life equation, so it can't be over.
Yeah, the portal shuts, and Darkseid, such a dick, squished Steppenwolf's head.
God, that was a loyal servant. Like, he did him dirty.
Steppenwolf betrayed him one time in ancient history, and Darkseid will hold a grudge. That's what.
No forgiveness. So I guess verdict on part 6. It was pretty damn good.
Yeah, and Darkseid, he says, we'll do it old school. Ready the Armada.
Yeah, he's like, we don't need a boom shoot or whatever. Yeah. We'll just fucking fly there.
We won't use mother boxes. We'll just show up and kill everyone like our ancestors did.
Let's do this old school. It's been a minute. Let's just get her done.
Yeah.
So then I was thinking, okay, movie's over. Dope. This was long as fuck. I'm glad it's over. Even though I liked that last part, I watched it in one day. So I was like, fuck. And then there's like epilogue, and I'm like,
a father twice over.
You motherfucker.
So here's the epilogue. Victor reassembles the tape recorder and listens to the sweet part of his dad's message.
Yeah.
Now that he's dead and he can't do anything about it.
Yep. Because, whatever. Don't care about that character still.
Well, lucky for you, his movie probably is canceled.
Yeah. Neither does the actor.
Arthur, he goes to talk to Mira and Volko, and he tells them, I have to go see my dad. His dad is Boba Fett, Tamora Morrison. So that's pretty cool. It's cool he's going to go see his dad.
Nice.
Ryan Choi gets appointed the head of nanotechnology at Star Labs
because that's his thing.
That character is the Atom, the Ant-Man of the DC universe.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bruce, Dinah, and Alfred start planning on building the Hall of Justice. They're gonna.
Do they become like a polycule or something?
Oh. We're about justice, but also we're in an open thing with each other, and everyone just bones down on that table.
That's what I was thinking.
That's the vivid video Justice League.
Oh,
that's
man.
The premise of it, I'm sure. Like, I pretend like I haven't watched it. Barry goes to visit his dad in jail, and he's got a job in a crime lab. So that's a real job. It's not walking dogs.
So why doesn't he just like have a high paying job for Wayne Industries? Like, you think Wayne could hook these dudes up?
It's made to seem that way in the theatrical cut that Bruce Wayne got him that job.
Okay.
At least that's my recollection. But I don't know. I think everyone just trying to make it on their own, right? Like,
okay.
They're trying to get by on their
I'm
own.
I'm not too proud to be like, hey,
can
Bruce,
I get on payroll?
Now that I'm a Justice League dude, you think I could get a paycheck? I'm hella poor.
Yeah. You saw I live in a warehouse. I have to take the fuses out so that people don't think I have electricity.
Yeah. I mean, and I think Bruce could afford it.
Yeah. And Bruce would be like, I don't even know what is money. Here, just have one of my cards.
Or more like, you should talk to Alfred about that.
Yeah.
And then Alfred would be like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, sure. We pay dozens of people
to not work. You're a consultant.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And speaking of that, Bruce rescues the Kent farm. He buys the bank.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, how'd you get the bank to give back the farm? I bought the bank.
Yeah. And then I haven't gone back to verify this, but someone said that they saw among the things getting carried into the house a bassinet.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice it either.
Do you think that's where they're gonna live?
It sort of seems like that's where like Clark kind of had his epiphany. Like, this is where I want to raise my family.
Okay.
Because when he's gets back to he's like, this is home. I was happy here.
Yeah. And I think that's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We get an all CG scene of Batman standing in like just a ruined part of Gotham City on a tank, because Batman thinks driving tanks around through the city is a great way to protect it.
I also think that.
Diana has a meaningful lookout at the Mediterranean Sea while holding the arrow of Artemis. Like, I really should maybe go home. It's been over 100 years.
How do I send a text back? Do I ride on this arrow and shoot it into the ocean?
But you know what I found, especially after sort of the disappointment of Wonder Woman 84, I really do hope the third Wonder Woman movie is in the modern times. It's not another period piece, and that she goes back to Themyscira.
Okay, and her mom is actually dead. Steppenwolf fucked her up.
He actually did kill her.
Yeah, that would be sick.
It's written in blood. I wasn't lying.
Shows up. They're like, oh shit, Diana's home. Does she know? Anyway,
Barry. I said that Barry's thinking to himself, I'm gonna fuck with the timeline. Because he's just like, he's running at that super fast speed and kind of like just feeling himself and being really happy. And it's like, oh no, Barry, you're about to do something stupid. I know that face. That's like, I saved the world. I could do whatever I want.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then so I enjoyed the character wrap ups, and I really wish it had ended right there.
Right there, or where Clark pulls open the shirt to show the Superman?
Yeah. That was the end. When Clark opened the shirt and he's back at work and all that.
But
that was the end.
But it's not the end. What are the villains doing, Dave?
Because we don't care.
Your boy's there, though.
Lex Luthor?
No.
Deathstroke. Joe Manganiello.
Joe Manganiello's there.
That was the thing. So I wanted it to end when Superman opened the shirt, but then they cut to Lex Luthor, and I was the scene in the asylum, and
so Lex busts out of Arkham Asylum,
and I'm just like, fuck you, Martin Shkreli, whatever, you suck. I was not there for that, but then it kind of cuts to like Lex is on a yacht, and then there's like a boat comes up, and
it's like there's a yacht kind of like out in the Metropolis harbor with a Dutch flag on it. So I guess he's close enough you can see Metropolis, but far enough out it's international waters.
Yeah. and Deathstroke shows up, and he's an assassin. He takes a contract out on Batman.
Yeah, he gets there, and we get a setup for a movie that's probably not coming.
Deathstroke movie?
Yeah, well, the Deathstroke versus Batman movie.
Well, yeah, it would just be a Batman movie.
So this was
the villain, right?
This was the setup for what was going to be the Batfleck movie that Affleck was going to write and direct, and it was supposed to be like a David Fincher-esque thriller, like Seven, where Deathstroke basically dismantles Bruce Wayne's life.
See, that would be dope because Joe Manganiello is awesome.
Mm-hmm. So, fingers crossed, HBO Max, make that shit happen because we want to watch that.
Yeah, I mean that would be awesome. So, I mean, that was cool, and then we go to another fucking dream sequence. Ugh.
Yeah, we're back in the nightmare timeline, and we got Batman in his duster, and he's with kind of Quasimodo cyborg who's like hunched over and wearing a tarp, and Mira's there, and the Flash has this like apocalyptic armor, and Deathstroke is there, and he's got a cool mohawk.
Yeah.
And everyone's favorite Joker is there.
Oh man, I was like watching it, I was like, oh, okay, Batman looks cool, post-apoc, and then I was like, okay, Flash, you're cool, and then it was like Mira, I was like, ugh. and then it switched. And then it goes in Deathstroke, and I was like, cool, he's awesome. And then it goes to the Joker, and I was like, no, Jared Leto. Yeah.
So Joker pushes Batman's buttons for old time's sake, and they dick around on the freeway for too long, and Superman finds them.
Yeah, and they sit there dicking around, roundabout explaining that the reason Superman is a bad guy is because Lois Lane died.
Right.
But we know that wouldn't fucking happen because Superman is the guy who allowed his father to die so that he could maintain his cover. If Lois died, he would not become a bad guy.
Right. It's not Lois dying that makes him a bad guy. It's Lois dying that makes him vulnerable to Darkseid to use the anti-life equation on him to make him into his puppet.
This is so convoluted and extra.
I don't disagree with you. Jared Leto didn't redeem himself. A lot of people like this Jared Leto scene.
Oh, they did?
Mm-hmm,
Okay, they're dumb.
Okay. Because you're on record, and a lot of people would agree with you. He's the worst Joker.
Worst Joker, yeah.
And so, but I'm just checking.
We should have Jack Nicholson to do it this one.
He didn't pull it out here. He didn't convince you, no, actually, he's a pretty good Joker.
No. You know what would have been better? I would have rather have had Harley Quinn there.
Well, Harley Quinn died. Batman told the Joker.
Yeah, that's true.
She died in his arms and said, kill the Joker for me.
He should have killed the Joker for her. He does say, he promises that he
I'm
will
gonna
kill
fucking
you.
kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that.
We
I
get
like
this
hardcore Batman. He's like, I'll fucking kill you. He should have just iced him right then and there.
I do. I love it. And Deathstroke says, you regret bringing him along yet? And he says, what do you think?
Imagine that as a buddy cop movie, Deathstroke and Batman.
He's like, hey, do you remember when I ruined your life? He goes, yeah, I do, and I lost all my money. And he's like, bet you never thought we'd be surviving in the apocalypse together.
But you never thought we'd be spooning at night when it's cold.
HBO Max, make that movie.
That would be so fucking funny.
Batman and Deathstroke, action comedy, after the apocalypse. They're out there killing parademons and Nazis and stuff in the future.
And have them both be in their 50s.
Yeah.
So they'd be like, I'm too old for this shit. Give us like a Dark Knight Returns era Batman. He has a hard time climbing a rope.
So, but that's not the end yet either. There's a third end.
Motherfuck. And it's like you see this figure floating down majestically.
Well, hold on. So Bruce Wayne wakes up from the nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
And Ben Affleck, this is a new scene because Ben Affleck looks healthier than he looked in any of these movies. Like
Yeah, this must have been
he
shot
looks younger
later.
now than he looked then.
Huh. You think it was shot way early? Or
No,
way
it was.
late?
This was one of the all this stuff. Like basically, once we get to the Nightmare timeline,
Yeah.
this was all recently shot, post pandemic.
Huh,
This
because
is now.
I've seen, I follow Joe Manganiello on all socials,
Mm-hmm.
and he's posted pictures of himself in the Deathstroke stuff
Yeah,
within the last year.
yeah. It's a weird. Since we're talking about
With
it,
that mohawk and all that.
this was a weird scene because not everyone was together when they shot it. So Affleck shot his stuff solo. Jared Leto shot his stuff solo. Ezra Miller shot his stuff solo. And then Amber Heard, Ray Fisher, Joe Manganiello, and a stuntman in the Batman suit shot stuff together.
That's weird.
And then they
Why?
cut the whole thing together because pandemic stuff. Like everyone's in different places and people are sequestered and
Can't afford private jets and COVID tests.
whole mess of stuff. Like Ezra Miller's filming a Fantastic Beasts movie.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So anyways, that whole scene is all cobbled together and made from a bunch of different footage. But anyways, okay, we're almost done.
So he wakes up.
He wakes up. There's someone flying outside.
I thought it was Superman.
Yeah, he's wearing. It's
He's
kind
got
of
a
like
cape.
He's
He's
kind of
floating
like
down in slow motion. And it turns out it's not. It's a dude who doesn't have a name.
Johns is his name, and he's the Martian Manhunter.
I know, but he doesn't give him his name. And he's like, and then he's like, he turns around at these. He walks up. He's like, "Hi, I heard you're collecting super guys. Well, I'm a super guy, and I'd be happy to help." And then what's your name? I don't know. And he turns around to leave, and then he turns and he goes, "I've been called the Martian Manhunter." And he flies away, and I'm just like, "Fuck off."
Yeah. Okay. Fair. So
way too much.
Background on this scene. This was actually this was a scene that was in the earlier cuts of the movie, and it was Green Lantern. 1 or 2 Green Lanterns that showed up there.
Dude, it should have been a Green Lantern.
It should have. They've been teasing
Couldn't
Green
it be
Lantern.
just Hal Jordan?
It was supposed to be either Jon Stewart or Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan. And they were going to bring back Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan.
Or, dude, Hal Jordan and Kilowog show up.
That'd be dope. Too.
That would be so sick.
I love Kilowog. But Warner Brothers wouldn't let him do it. Because they've
got the rights.
They've got plans for Green Lantern. There's going to be an HBO Max TV show. And
I will be watching that.
Yeah.
Carrie's a huge Green Lantern fan.
And so they were like, you can't have Green Lantern, but you can have Martian Manhunter. Okay. And so that's why they had to reshoot that scene and do it with Martian Manhunter instead.
Okay, I get it. Don't love it, but I get it. And so then the movie's
really
over. Oh my God.
4 hours. How long did it take us to talk about it?
Well, we had 15-minute intro, and we're now at the 2.5 hour mark, so 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Hey, this is pretty good for us.
We're like twice as fast as normal. So yeah. that movie, man, we are gonna give our personal highlights, our personal lowlights, and our final thoughts with our ratings. But we're gonna do that after the break because we figure everybody needs a break right about now.
Mm-hmm. All right, welcome back, divers. Dave, what worked for you in this movie?
First things first, the score really worked for me.
Yeah, I've become a Junkie XL fan.
I wrote this early on. I scrolled down in my notes as I was listening, and I was like, this has got to be in the highlights section. So I put down that the score really worked. Mm-hmm. I also put that the casting was really good.
Yeah.
And that is present in all of the Snyder movies. I think that the actors did a really great job with the material that they were given. Mm-hmm. Highlights for that would be probably Lois Lane.
Because she doesn't get a whole ton of screen time.
But
or dialogue.
Every moment she's on screen, she dominates.
Yeah.
And I think that's really telling. And so I think that was really good.
So there's like I wanted to mention this. There's a slow motion montage with her kind of going about her daily business early on in the film. Mm-hmm. And it's set to the Song of the Siren, which is a cover of a song from a band called Mortal Coil. And it's done by Rose Betts. Mm-hmm. And that song has like just been like stuck in my head for weeks. Like I think of that one. And
I remember that scene and I remember that song and I was just thinking, man, this is really good. This is kind of Snyder being arty and kind of being...
It's what he's really good at.
Yeah. I think he's really good at conveying emotion in a movie. Sometimes it doesn't always land, but I think that casting part. So I also was going to say basically, I feel like after all the groundwork is set, the action sequences come and... Like I said before, it's like an avalanche. It just it hits you, and you're on it. You're riding the wave. You're like Aquaman.
Aquaman on a parademon.
Yeah, and you just kind of like it was great. Episodes 5 and 6 were both fantastic, or part 5 and 6 fantastic. So how about for you? What worked for you?
At this point, I think to say that the casting and the visuals are spectacular just goes without saying. I think we felt that way about all of these movies. I really like the interpersonal relationships between all of the characters. You get a really strong sense of who these people are and how they all relate to each other, how they view each other, and like how they work together. And most of that is done through action and body language and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like you always talk about showing and not telling.
Yeah.
They do that through showing and not telling.
Yeah, there's only like a couple of times in this movie where they tell you. It seems like Snyder is really devoted to showing.
Yeah. Like, so one of the relationships that kind of forms Cyborg and Barry as the two young guys, like the two teens, although they're dudes in their 20s, but
Yeah.
the youngest guys of the group, they kind of partner up with each other. And there's a point where I think Aquaman's like, how are we going to do that? And Barry goes, with the power of love. And Cyborg goes, Barry, and he goes, I'm going to use the Speed Force. And it's like, yeah, they have such a cool relationship. Or the relationship between Martha and Lois, or the relationship between Bruce and Alfred and Diana.
Arthur and Diana.
And Diana and Bruce. Like, everyone has a way that they engage with the other person.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that make the movie human. Like, otherwise it would just be slow motion battle scenes.
Well, let's be real. Those human stories and that excellent acting is what makes these movies, because all of the mother boxes and boom shoots and parademons and all that stuff is just hokey as shit.
That's just nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can't show those human relationships, you won't go along for the ride with all of the magic nonsense.
Yeah. The trappings. If the trappings are in charge, it's lame. If the characters are in charge, it's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. So for me, like, that's really what works. And yeah, the score, you already highlighted it. But yeah, I've been listening to that kind of nonstop, kind of all week long. And it's really good. It makes me want to seek out other scores that he's done.
Nice. All right. So, what didn't work for you?
For me,
Yeah.
I said it already, but I will say it again because it's a big one. I have a big problem with a small scene, and that is when Martha Kent turns into the Martian Manhunter for no goddamn reason.
Yep.
And it seems so silly in a 4-hour movie that, like, a blink and you miss it cameo scene can cause me this much strife, but it really does. Like, I really hate that they did that strongly.
Yeah, because it robbed that relationship of so much.
Yeah, so like when they're back in Kansas and they do their group hug. And just imagine Lois says to Martha, it really meant a lot that you came to see me in the city. And she goes, oh, honey, I never came to see you in the city. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Or Martha's like, I haven't seen you since before Clark died.
She's like, yeah, like, at some point, something like, well, what the fuck? Someone came to see me. Like, am I crazy? Like, it creates this weird thing. And it robs a really important scene in the movie, and I just really wish they hadn't done that. What about for you? I think you're going to have more gripes than I have.
Okay, so I kind of aired my grievances throughout, but I should say, first things first, why isn't this multiple movies? I think that it was way too long.
Yeah.
There are things that were drawn out that shouldn't have been. They spent way too much time setting up characters that didn't really need set up. I think that this is a big team movie, and that's not the time that you set up B tier heroes' origin stories.
Yeah.
That's not the place or time. If you need to do it somewhere else. If they don't get their own movie, have it be in someone else's movie.
Yeah.
Whatever. I felt like the symbolism in this movie, like, just beats you over the head like you're a complete idiot. Like, Wonder Woman and the statue of Lady Justice in her opening scene that was pointless. It's just like, oh, are you saying Wonder Woman is Lady Justice? It's like, fuck off. Like, the symbolism, just let it be, and if people don't get it, they don't get it. And I don't like it. It's like they explained every joke. It was pointless.
But she didn't like stand up there and say, like,
She didn't.
I represent justice.
She didn't put on a blindfold and like, yeah, no, it is dumb though. And then lastly, I would say that the epilogue, aside from the character wrap ups, which were nice, almost all of it was completely unneeded. It felt like a lot of it only existed to set up future movies that may not be made, probably won't be made. And finally, anytime there's a dream sequence, I hate it.
So I don't like the nightmare sequences either. But although I could forgive cyborgs, I don't think we needed the one at the end, the third PS on the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But I did say earlier I was going to explain my theory on the nightmare sequences.
Okay.
They are latent memories from timelines that they have erased. So
That the Flash has erased?
Yeah. So basically, we know that kind of the plan is, or would be for the following movies, that Darkseid invades, he wins, Lois gets killed, he uses the anti-life equation on Superman, and then Superman becomes his minion, basically, and subjugates the world for him. And that Batman basically sends the Flash back to change time to keep it from happening. Mm-hmm. I think they've done it multiple times, and they keep changing things and still ending up in some version of the nightmare timeline. And so the visions they have, because they're not consistent quite with each other, because the one we saw in the last movie, Batman gets caught by Superman. Yeah. So I think they've tried multiple times to reset the timeline, and they just haven't done the one that heads off this dark future yet.
That could make for a really shitty movie if they have a Groundhog Day of losing until they finally win. It sounds like a hackish plot that a comic book movie writer would write, though.
So that's what I think's happening.
Because it probably is. Like, the next movie starts off and you see Barry. He runs up to Bruce. I just got back from the future where we lost. We've really got to do something. It's like, what are you talking about, Barry? Yeah, I can see it already.
Yeah. So that's what I think's happening. I think that's what's driving these things.
That's a big letdown, Nick, because I don't want them to make that movie.
Well, I don't think they're going to, but I was pretty proud of myself for figuring it out.
No, I think you're probably right, because, I mean, like, all signs point to yes. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's a terrible plot, but I have an inherent bias against time travel plots because they always get fucky. Mm-hmm. Like, they're never good. Like, the only time that it was ever good was in Looper when he's like, don't explain it.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not going to go talk about the intricacies of time travel with you because we'll start making diagrams with straws on the table.
Yeah, exactly.
It works because it works.
That's the only time I ever was like, okay, I'm in. And that was a good movie, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the final thoughts segment, where I will tell you the ratings from. We don't have a Metacritic, but we have an IMDb and a Rotten Tomatoes for this, and then we can reveal our own ratings.
You're gonna do those ratings before ours,
or do you want to do ours first?
We should do ours first.
Okay, so let's hear yours because I already know mine.
So I'm gonna tell you. I've been kind of, and this is my song every time. I've been all over the board of how am I going to rate this movie? Is this the greatest movie of all time, or was it terrible? I have no idea. What even is objective reality?
Yeah.
But basically, here's the thing: is I really liked this movie a lot, and I was on board right from the start. And I hated like when we stopped it halfway and rejoined the next day. I hated to stop it. And it was all I thought about at work the next day until I could get home and watch the second half of it.
Wow, that's quite an
So
endorsement.
potentially, I could rate it really highly. But then on my second viewing, as I'm taking my notes, and probably like the third or fourth time I typed out the word boom tube, I thought, wait a minute. This is all nonsense a normal person wouldn't understand. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, I gave myself a spectrum. And how willing you were to go along for the journey with all of this nonsense stuff was going to determine where I fell on the spectrum I gave myself. Because if you came all the way on board from your skeptic's point of view, I would have ended up really high. But ultimately, I'm going to fall at 3.25.
Okay.
Because I really liked it a lot, but I just think a normal person doesn't have the fortitude to sit for 4 hours and would be like, what is an anti-life equation? Like
I still don't know what that is.
So the anti-life equation is essentially it's whatever this magic formula that removes free will.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a magic formula that removed life.
No, because it's the opposite. The anti-life is not death. Anti-life is life without a soul.
Okay, they should have explained that.
They never do. So that's why we're a 3.25 and not a 4-star movie. Because a normal person...
So this is roughly as good as Dune.
Like Dune, this is a beautiful, flawed epic.
Okay.
That I super like, but a normal person is going to be like...
This was made for you.
Yes, that's it. Like, I'm the target audience. I watched Dune and I'm like, that shit was cool. Yeah. Patrick Stewart's holding a pug, shooting a gun in the air.
In the Mexican desert with burning tires off screen.
Yeah, it's like, fucking, I don't know what's going on, but I like it.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm on board.
Now I want to watch that movie again.
A normal person will be like, wait, what?
Exactly. So I'm in a similar place. I said this is really tough because the first half of the movie was pretty much superfluous, and the second half was really good and super watchable. I do not think I can give this movie a full endorsement, an open, unqualified endorsement like I did Man of Steel, where I said Man of Steel is a movie that literally anyone could watch and enjoy. I cannot give it that because there are several flaws that make it unwatchable for some people. 4 hours, 3 epilogues, just like so many little things. So that means it has to be below 3.5 stars. It can't even be 3.5 stars. But the thing is it's really, really good when it comes down to it. So it has to be the ultimate of qualified recommend, 3.25 stars.
Holy shit.
This is the first time we agreed, I think.
I don't know if it's no, because we both went 3.5 on Man of Steel.
Okay, too. Yeah, that's true.
We've actually been really close on all 3 of these movies.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, the thing is if you think you're in the demo for this movie, you've probably already seen it, but that means it's a hella good recommend. If you don't think you're in the demo, probably skip.
Yep. I would totally agree.
I mean, because I'm not in the demo and I hated 2 hours worth.
That shows how much you like the second 2 hours that
I initially was going to give this 2.25 stars.
So you gained a whole star in the second half.
A whole star in the last hour. We'll just call it that. A whole star in the last hour.
So,
you wanted the IMDb and the Rotten
let's
Tomato?
hear that. Let's hear that.
They actually are a little more generous than we are. IMDb gives it 8.5 out of 10.
Wow, that's a pretty good review.
Yeah, and then Rotten Tomatoes gives it 74%.
Okay,
which is pretty high. That's actually just ever so slightly higher than our rating.
Yeah. Okay. Empire Magazine's always my go-to, and they gave it 3 stars.
Okay,
but they don't do fractions.
Oh, okay. So it's 3 or 4.
It's 3 or 4, and so I bet they're kind of.
Then we would have to round down if we did, So yeah, I guess we're in there, and I think that's a pretty accurate rating. I mean, if you're a comic book movie person, particularly if you're a DC person, this is going to be your jam. I mean, but there are some people who are Marvel movie people who maybe not want to watch this.
So I'm a Marvel zombie. I've said this before, but I'm going to take a really controversial stance here. And I'm going to say this is leaps and bounds better than Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yes, that's not daring.
And I might even like this better than the Avengers, the first Avengers movie.
I'm gonna try.
I said that to our buddy Ted, and he was like, "You've gone too far."
Yeah, but here's the thing: the Avengers movies are crappy.
Joss Whedon is a bad dialogue writer.
They're not that enjoyable. You have to already like the characters from their initial movie in order to like those movies.
Yeah.
Standalone, they don't hold water. They're not good.
You're
like you watch it and you're like, I love Captain America, he's the shit. I love Iron Man, he's the shit. And then you're like watching more and you're like, God, I sure love Iron Man. You're not thinking, I love the Avengers movie. It's a loyalty to the characters. Those movies were highly mediocre. They were very suspect.
You're singing the same song. That's what I came to at the end, especially because this is a movie that Joss did get a chance to put his stamp on too.
Put his stank on.
To put his stank on. And I hated everything he added. I think he made some smart cuts. Mm-hmm. Like, because he took a 4-hour movie and got it down to a 2-hour movie that made sense. Mm-hmm. And I've got to give him his kudos for doing that.
You don't have to give him anything.
That's no small feat.
You could have done it.
I couldn't, because I can't stand to let anything go. We regularly make 3-hour podcasts about 90-minute movies.
That's true.
So I empathize.
That's because we're interesting.
Yeah, I empathize with Zack Snyder because I also am overindulgent and don't know what to let go.
Yeah, I think that this movie, I mean, we came in right at the right mark, I think. And I think that this is a strange place to be for a movie because it's like they made a movie for one specific group of people. It would be like if we watched a kids movie. It's just not for us, even if it's the greatest kids movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you get that, like when we watched The Last Unicorn or whatever. You kind of you judge it for what it is as a children's movie.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, in the name of Jor-El, Kal-El, and the hologram of Jor-El, amen. That's a wrap on Zack Snyder's Justice League.
All right, great. So let's go ahead and let's switch it up, and this is the time when I ask Nick, "What are you into right now?"
Wow, you never ask me. It's so exciting. So what I've been doing, and if you follow us on Vero or Twitter, you know this.
I've been following.
I've been rewatching the Monsterverse movies in anticipation of next week's release of Godzilla vs. Kong.
That's the next episode, right?
That's going to be our next. We're going to do a hot take on Godzilla vs. Kong, which actually, for you divers, came out yesterday. But for us, it comes out next Wednesday. And I've got tickets to see it in a movie theater.
Oh, man, that's nuts.
Yes. So weirdly enough, one of the very last movies I saw in the movie theater was a 35 millimeter screening of the 1962 King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, okay.
And the first movie I'm going to see in a theater again, since on the other side of the shutdown, is Godzilla versus Kong. It's very serendipitous.
Is it being released online somewhere?
Yes, you're going to watch it on HBO Max.
Oh, okay.
And so will I. But first, I'm going to see it on the big screen.
Nice. Sounds cool.
But in anticipation of that, I've been revisiting the 3 movies that precede it. So that's Kong Skull Island, directed by Jordan Vogt Roberts, Godzilla by Gareth Edwards, and Godzilla King of the Monsters by Michael Daughtry. And 2 of those movies I really like a lot, and one of them is a little of a BVS for me in that I like the visuals and some of the scenes, but it hinges on a plot point that I can't get around, and it ruins the movie for me. But 2 of them, Kong Skull Island and Godzilla, I really like those movies, and I really enjoyed the rewatch.
Okay, I've never really been into these big monster movies, so I'm excited to watch this new one and write down my comments from a completely uneducated point of view. So I'll have a lot of questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, you messaged me. It was like, we should hot take this and you can monster explain it to me.
Yeah.
So I'm all ready, and I've enjoyed rewatching these movies, even the one I don't like.
Yeah, I'm into monsters in general.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like, because I really liked Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
And I want to watch that new Netflix anime.
Oh yeah, we've got that coming up too. There's a lot of stuff coming that we're gonna watch and then tell you guys about.
Yeah. So it's gonna be pretty cool.
What have you been up to, Dave?
Well, honestly, I haven't got anything.
Or what have you been into? Oh, jeez, I messed it up.
Yeah, what am I into right now? And that is, I have been streaming a lot of stuff just because I've been working a lot and I've been doing a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to give a streaming recommend to people because I watch anime at home, and so there is a recent one that I just recently got into. I had to be convinced to watch it.
Oh yeah,
and. Now that I'm a season and a half deep into it, I like it.
You're all the way in.
Yeah. I'm in. It's called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
Okay, catchy title.
Yeah, it's fun.
Does it rhyme in Japanese too?
I don't know. And so it's an anime that you would enjoy if you like fantasy tropes. But also if you like things that kind of break the third wall. So the premise is that there's this guy, this Tokyo salaryman. He ends up getting. It opens up with him in Tokyo, whatnot, and he just gets killed, like murdered in a mugging or something. It's just like a really ignoble death. And so he then gets reincarnated in this fantasy world, but he's reincarnated as a monster, and he's a lowly little slime, which is a very low level monster.
Yeah,
and
it's like Dragon Quest style. Do you know that? That's like an early '90s anime.
Yeah, I don't know the reference, but
it's got slimes.
Okay, well he actually kind of is like a little blue Kirby almost.
Okay,
and so he's a slime, and he ends up discovering he has these powers, these abilities, like he can absorb things and analyze them and then like replicate things, and he can devour things and gain their abilities, and all sorts of things. And it's kind of a story about him and how he comes in there with like a human's sensibilities, and he levels himself up. He becomes a more powerful a more powerful slime. He gets to the level where he is quite powerful, and he actually builds a little town with goblins. He builds a goblin town and becomes their leader, and then he gets more powerful, and he ends up building a monster nation where he's the leader.
Yeah, I see you got orcs and demons and stuff in here.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy because he finds other people who are from the real world. Like he meets this person there's other people who are also Japanese.
Huh.
And so he's like, oh yeah, I'm Japanese also. And they start talking about stuff, and he has been, in the world not very long compared to this other person. So he's like telling him how specific certain animes end and stuff. And they're talking about it, And so it gets a little meta.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, do you have any paper? And he's like, yeah. So he hands him a stack of paper, and he like devours it. And then he's able to, with his replicate ability, like transcribe anything he's ever seen or whatnot onto the paper. So it pops out a manga compilation, like he makes in these books, and it's kind of humorous.
Yeah.
But the show is just a really good, fun anime that is it's got a lot of great action. It's got some good intrigue. It's well written. The dialogue is fun and snappy.
Yeah.
It's new. It's not like something that's been out a long time.
So where are you watching this?
You can catch it on either Crunchyroll or Funimation.
Okay.
On their apps, and it's pretty popular from what I gather. So that is a streaming recommend. If you like anime, check out That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
It looks pretty funny, honestly.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
I Googled it and was just sort of like flipping through some manga pages and stuff while you were talking, and it looks. I like the art style, and
you'll get some chuckles out of it. Yeah, for sure.
And he looks like a slime from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, he's just like this little blue bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. All right, so that's all I've been up to. That's all that I'm into right now.
Sorry, I messed it up once, and then you caught it from me.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, my life has been pretty chill lately.
All right. Well, do you want to give them the call to action?
Yeah, we ask that you subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher and rate us generously. A 5-star review costs you nothing, but means everything to us.
You can find us on all social media platforms across the metaverse as Deep Dive the Meta. We are on Twitter, which is Dave's favorite. We're on Instagram, which I prefer, but we're also on Pinterest, which nobody likes.
And Vero.
And Tumblr, and basically everything except for TikTok, because I don't get it.
Well, I guess this is really goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.